Hello everyone, welcome to First Off Draw with Riot. Draw with Riot is a live streamed art masterclass and it's also a chance for us to connect with players all over the world. We will have an interactive activation afterwards and I will share the details during this stream. Today we are going to learn more about the process behind character creation and we are also going to share our versions of it. And these versions will be created all today. I am Krang and today we have a very special artist with me, Chris Campbell. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Batu. How you doing, man?
I'm really good, thank you. It's a beautiful evening in Istanbul, and how is it over there?
It's a pretty beautiful morning in Orange County, California. And hello to everybody who's already jumped in, man. It's awesome to see all you guys in here. Hopefully, I can give you guys some interesting, fun stuff to look at.
What's gonna happen today? Can you just describe what are you drawing today?
So basically, like when we came up with this idea a couple of weeks ago, Olia, one of the main organizers of this, she said she was into if you guys know the Stormclaw Ursine Shaman dude from set 2, and she kind of suggested if we maybe could turn that into a poro. So especially with the Volibear rework coming out and that dude looking awesome, I thought that sounds like a pretty rad idea. And so thanks to her, I think we're going to try to do a kind of Ursine Terror Volibear Poro mashup thing.
That's super exciting for us. And I think it's really important to mention that Chris is not creating this art to be in the game. This is an art stream inspired by the Runeterra universe. So let's set the expectations right there. So I also want to mention that I'm going to help Chris to answer your questions. So if you have questions, please ask us through Twitch chat.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely hope to give you guys, I guess I hope it's entertaining. But I know that there's a lot of folks that are interested in just sort of like how to become a concept artist and how do we do that. So I definitely want to give you guys, as much good info as I can.
So how do we begin? How do we begin drawing at the first place?
Yeah, well, on lore, I guess I'll do a quick side here before I get into drawing, but I don't want to waste too much time. In lore, basically, we're tied in together. Art is with design, of course, and they kind of they lead the way, and we also have our narrative elements or writers that help us. They help with VO. They help to come up with ideas and edit both the ideas and the VO for the characters, things like that. Mm-hmm. So on lore itself, our designers work ahead and they kind of establish what faction or what region we're going to explore, and what champions are going to be a part of that. And basically how they want the design to feel. And once they get those kinds of things put together, they start coming to art and narrative. And it's on us to start basically pitching into the visual side of it. The concept artists start coming up with stuff as to for Demacia, for example, right? Like when set 1 came out and you look at Garen and you have a lot of these armored knights and things like that of Demacia, that was, part of that's the visual execution on this feel of this valiant knight army kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of thing where basically in the sense of what we do on lore, we would start with design and they would come to us, and then we start going back and forth with design and narrative, pitching ideas until we start to get what we call a subgroup of characters together that would go with the champion. Again, like a bunch of knights in Demacia that would go with Garen, or the pirates, the jagged hooks that go with Gangplank in set 2, that kind of thing. So anyway, so as a microcosm of that, to get drawing for you guys, with Olia's request, that I then also tossed over to the other concept guys on the team, they loved it. I decided to go ahead and pull together a mood board for you guys. Just a second. Oops. Oh, hold on just a sec, guys, as I talk about it. So anyway, I pulled together a mood board.
Yeah. While you're searching, I need to make sure that everyone is aware of the contest, which is going on right now. After this stream, you're also invited to share your versions of this art via Twitter. So whilst sharing your art pieces, it's important to mention Play Runeterra and use the hashtag #DrawWithRiot, and winners will get some cool prizes, some in-game cool prizes. So the first place will also get the unique opportunity to speak with you, Chris, one-on-one.
Yeah, for sure. I am. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's always fun to help out and give people that want to break into, I guess, like the games industry on the art side. Like, I was there not long ago, and so to get a chance to help somebody out, it's always fun, to give something back to young artists, because I get it, man. It seems like it can be so far away, but it's not. We can get you there. So anyway, it'll be fun. Sorry. So okay, back to the thing. So if you guys can see this, put together just like a rough mood board, and this is the kind of thing that, based off of Olia's idea, and the kind of different elements of it, we've got like your poros over here, and my man Volibear here, and the Stormclaw guy here. Like, I was just kind of looking at stuff that I could pull from visually and thematically to bring into this character that we're going to work on, kind of together, I guess, here. So this is kind of an example, again, like a microcosm of it, where like, you take things that you know about the region, you take things that you know about the things you're going to draw, the champion that these guys are going to follow, and like what kind of personality that comes with. And we want to sort of fuse that into like a sort of sandbox of space to play in. And then once you get that, you start playing around visually within there. And I'll show you guys here in a bit too. I have some sketches and stuff I did last night, just to kind of get warmed up on the idea, but we're gonna jump in here. So anyway, yeah, go ahead and start tossing me like any questions you guys have, if you want, and I'll start kind of getting warmed up and scribbling on some poro action.
Well, Chris, maybe do you want to mention about your background, because you joined Riot Games in 2013. And you have been working for Legends of Runeterra for the past 2 years, I believe.
Yes, yeah. I've been on lore for a little over 2 years now, and I came there from Champion Team, where I was on Champion Team for like 4.5 years, almost 5 years. So I've been at Riot for like 7 years. So I think it was like 4.5 years, and now it's been 2.5 or so on lore. As you guys can see here, I'm kind of just trying to get a big puffy round poro body going for us here. So yeah, I actually spent a long time on League as well, working on champs and the Summer's Rift updates, stuff like that. And
then you joined Legends of Runeterra?
Yes, yeah, I came over to Legends of Runeterra. Actually, back, and what we were working on at the time was Set 2 that just came out. So I did get a chance to actually, as you guys have seen, like work on like the Bilgewater stuff. I worked on some of the Nautilus sea monsters and the Maokai guys, like the Snapvine and what's my man, the Neverglade Collector, that kind of stuff. That's some of the stuff that I got to jam on when I came over.
That card kills me, man. That card.
I know, yeah,
so
I know.
Much pain.
It's a fun one. It's a fun one visually for me. Like, I enjoyed making it, but it definitely, like, cards are all about their design, So
sure.
I think it's his design that makes him meme worthy, and I just happen to be lucky to be the dude that drew the card, Now, let's see here. So one of the things I'm kind of starting to try to find here is from my sketches. I had this. I always like to draw from attitude. And when I'm making concepts, one of the things that I have an animation. I went to school actually for animation. That was my background for a long time. And so I sort of always kind of draw from a place of like, what do I want a character to feel like? I'm not as awesome as at like anatomy and some of those things that is awesome to have, and I do try to study it. But there are definitely like better artists even on my team that I go to for like anatomy help and things. But good thing we're doing a poro, so he's basically like a ball, like a furry ball. But I focus a lot on attitude, and I feel like with Volibear and his kind of the seriousness and the kind of badassery that comes along with like this giant bear god of the Freljord, that it would be, I don't know, this poro would probably be an aggressive little dude. I want to lower his eyes even a little bit further here. So anyway, as I'm working through this dude, some of the elements that I've been looking at with Volibear that I kind of wanted to try to capture. I noticed that Volibear, obviously, he has the sort of electricity, like the lightning stuff. So, we'll want to kind of make sure we sneak this in here eventually. But I want to keep like the poro shapes and horns. I like him having this kind of like downturned, kind of angry head thing, but I kind of wanted to have like a menacing little smile here. I keep wanting to drop those eyes, but anyway, so as I'm going through here, I'm kind of making sure that his little like poro anatomy is correct, if it is a thing. Giving him some little arms and all that. If you guys remember, Volibear has these like cool things right here. Well, let me get rid of this dude for a second. Volley has like these dope things. Like he's got this kind of like, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like the most awesome like neck beard ever or something. Anyway, so I want to make sure that I think that's kind of a nice like signifier that I can bring in to our poro boy.
I want to jump in here for one player question. It's a beautiful question. What is the most important thing in the illustration, composition, ingesting lightning, or rendering skills?
Oh yeah, so that's it's an awesome question, and it sounds like you're gearing it a little bit more toward our illustration side, which is I focus on the character development of it, but I think in the illustration, for me at least, it's always like composition is one of the main things, right? Like if you can get the right mood and feel and get the readability and all that stuff. And then, lighting is always awesome. I love moody lighting, like that's it. They all play into it, man. Rendering's always important. Rendering's kind of the nuts and bolts, but that can always be very subjective too. Like, I don't subscribe to there being like one kind of rendering that's like the best kind. I think it's all about, what do you want to say with your piece? If you're working for like a game studio, what's the style of that game or that studio? So there's things like that where it's, I think rendering is like super critical as a like basic like skill to continue to work on. I'm working on it. Like you guys will see, I actually have like, I think it's almost like a pencil render style that I've taken into digital color. So like, I am not like a render god by any means, like Alex Flores and those guys who actually did the Volibear splash, I believe. He's freaking amazing. And SMV and all the illustrators that we work with on, SMV is Six More Vodka. They're the studio that does a lot of the illustrations for us, and they do an amazing job. So I think like, all those things are important, man. I honestly, like with an illustrator, it's like have something you want to say, and maybe what you want to say is a part of a video game. But like if you have something you want to say, then develop those like skills and on an axis of that, like how can I best say the thing I want to say or like the story I want to tell, like, I don't know if it's kind of a long-winded answer, but I hope it kind of gets to what's being asked in general though. Like if you're asking from a standpoint of like, hey, what's a good way to like, get kind of a job like at a Riot or at any video game place, I would say like, look at what they do style-wise and how they render and how they like use shapes and those kinds of things and their style points. And you want to start working towards those elements, and that's probably a best. Yes, I see. I'm using Procreate. I actually like a long time ago I sort of slipped away from Photoshop and used Procreate so I can sit around different places in the office and at home and go to coffee shops and work and stuff like that. Just all right. Anyway, so interrupt me whenever with more questions because I will just talk to try to like give you guys nuggets until it's like super boring or something.
No, never boring. It was so good that I couldn't interrupt actually. So another question is actually the question was the software, but you have answered it. It was Procreate, right?
Yep.
How long does it take to a designer to create a splash art?
Okay, so there's a couple elements to that question. One is, are we wanting to know like just how long it takes to do like a finished illustration? Is that what you're thinking, or?
Well, they said that it's MO 2812. He or she says, splash art. Create a splash art. So no details.
Oh, okay. So, well, splash art. That's more of a league thing. we do illustrations too, so it's, you know, the reason why I bring it up is they have different kind of sort of style points and some different like constraints and stuff they use. So on Splash, you know, a lot of it too is like they're working on those splashes, especially for the base champ, while the base champ is still being finished in its like design, like its actual visual design and some of those things. So they have a little bit of a different world, but I don't know, man. I'd have to check in with somebody to see how many like hours it takes. Man, I would guess it's a couple like weeks worth of hours anyway. I don't know, like I try to poke some of the guys that I work with, and if any of them are in the stream or anything like that, maybe they could pop in and answer. But it takes a long time, man. Those guys iterate and like work real hard on those things, like rendering that stuff up. So if you're like trying to get to Splash level, don't be disheartened if it takes you like 100 hours to get anywhere near it, because like those guys are like the best artists I know, and it takes them a lot of iteration and a lot of time to get to that level.
Yeah, for the players, like I will my eyes are on the chat and I'm taking notes. Don't worry. Please don't stop asking questions, but we also need to have this drawing ready for today. How much do you plan to like draw to the finish?
I'm gonna try to get us. I'm gonna try to get us a rendered little color angry poro Ursine bro. And one thing I got to do here, guys, is like if anybody actually likes the Ursine dude as well, is like we got to get 2 mouths in here, man. We got to get the double mouth thing going. So that's my main goal, is to make sure that we have 2 mouths. That's it. That's all I want to do with this design.
Yeah, it's important to have 2 mouths if you're from that region or that terror.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let me see here. Let's see if I can. I don't like how some of my design elements are overlapping, you guys. So yeah, anyway, so this is part of it, right? As I'm designing and I'm trying to figure out where I want to put some stuff. Like you guys see me kind of searching. What I'm hoping to do is like poros have these like little mustaches. Like they kind of always have these funny little mustaches. No nose really. And I'm trying to get Volibear's little like those like glowing rune elements somewhere on here, man. Like that's kind of my goal that I'm searching for like at the moment. But so this is kind of it though, right? Like when I'm sitting here drawing, like these are the kinds of things that I'm focused on right now. I'm pretty happy with like the base of what this poro looks like. Now I'm sort of like trying to just hit on like how do I fit in details in a way that like this guy will still read and not get too busy, or not, you know, you don't want to have like, hey, this is an awesome like top level detail and then have it end up like overlapping another like top end detail, those kinds of things. You want to keep your design as clear as possible. And the good thing is it's a poro, so there's not a lot to him. The bad thing is he's a poro, so there's not a lot of places to put stuff. Actually, and I'll show you guys now. This is how a part of the process too. So last night I sat down and I spent like 15 or 20 minutes just sort of sketching out really rough ideas, different poses, things like that. This is the guy, layers. This is the guy that I kind of like the most. So right now I'm trying to figure out how I want to get all the details in, but like this is part of the concept process too, especially like for any concept artist, we always kind of sketch ideas. But like if I had gotten this assignment, like I kind of did, I guess, from Olia, but taking this assignment and then you go in and I just do a bunch of really rough sketches, nothing committal, like this kind of stuff. Like I said, this is 15 or 20 minutes on my couch, just trying to find a pose and throw some elements together until I found something I like. So I'm checking it right now because I wanted to kind of go back and be like, how did I work it out in the scrabble kind of phase, so I can bring it back to my current design. It looks like I actually didn't work it out, so that's fun. So I'm gonna go back up to my main dude here for y'all and figure out if I can get layers to open. If I can get, man, I draw my sketchbook sometimes too. I wonder if any of you guys do this stuff, like where I totally like try to undo my sketchbook. You know, you start tapping on your sketchbook page and it's too much time digital, but maybe we can do something like this, man. Like shorten them. Anyway, yeah, trying to fit this dude's vibe together. Want to fatten up. One of the guys on my team actually is the father, sort of poros. I think he drew the first poros. One of our concept artists. His name is Oliver Chipping. Hopefully, we'll get him to do one of these one day because he's an awesome dude. And I told him, I was like, man, I think I'm gonna get on this stream and draw a poro, dude. I need your guidance.
So there's a beautiful question about this poro. Spiri asked if it has two mouths, should it have two mustaches?
Oh, that's deep. Oh, that's deep. I'm gonna need to take a sip of coffee on that, man. That's real. Hold on, just a sec. Let's see. I don't know, man. Maybe I can fit it in there. It might get too crazy. That might be too crazy. You might have there might be too much concept in your soul. All right. Well, whatever, man. We're just gonna do little nubbins so I can fit them in. Little nubbins. All right. So, having this down, I might actually make it a touch bigger. So what I'm gonna do now, you guys, is like I go in and kind of just do a refine pass. So this is still kind of a pretty rough sketch. I don't want to necessarily like render into this because I don't have enough things in place, like solidly in place. So this is kind of a phase where I'll drop down the opacity on this and then sketch it over top and try to get a much cleaner drawing. So then when I do go in and render, I kind of know where my details are. Also, we're going to do the deadly flip, you guys. This is, I don't know. I mean, I know we probably have a lot of artists in here and you guys have the thing where you flip and then it looks like, you know, you were drawing it as you were falling out of bed or something. Not too bad. Let's see what we got, man. You might need a little warp tool. Let me see here. A little liquefy action. See, this is one of the reasons why, you guys, I use Procreate. It's a little bit simpler than Photoshop, but it has a lot of power and a lot of the same tools. And I'm sort of the guy that came from like my sketchbook primarily. Like that's just my love, man. It's like give me a pencil, give me a page, and let me just sort of like jam. And so Procreate kind of gives me a little bit better feeling like that, because it's like Photoshop is amazing and I used it for years, but it's just got so much awesome, you know, and I get lost in it sometimes. So I still use Photoshop for like finishing things up sometimes, and obviously for like layout and stuff like that. But anyway, that's why I'm sort of like, as a further explanation as to like why Procreate has become what I use. More coffee.
So there's one more question if you want to, if you have the space.
No more questions. I'm just kidding.
Alex Rose asked, "What's the most important thing you need to have or you need to do to become a part of the team of concept artists of Riot?"
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of like elements to that question, right? Honestly, you know, the first thing, and I know, I actually had somebody reach out to me the other day and ask me like, "Hey, man, how do I break into the industry when it's always asking for guys with experience?" You know, like it wants, you know, even like opening level positions or whatever, or asking for like 3 years experience or whatever. And he's like, "And I don't have any. I'm trying to get in." Here's the baseline of it, guys. Seriously, if your work is good, you'll get looked at. It's all about the work. If your portfolio is strong, you know, get on ArtStation, post your stuff. You know, that's going to be a good way to get noticed. We look at ArtStation all the time. I look at ArtStation like every day. And so I think once you've developed your skills enough to where you want to start posting to a place like that, I think then start thinking about like I was saying before, there's two kind of main questions that you want to think about. One is, can I make like what they make? Am I making, you know, in the style that they am I creating things that could fit the style of their game? Because that's a big thing, right? Like we need to, you know, studios are looking to bring people in that can jump in and help their teams develop. I'm gonna flip this dude back. Oh no, I feel like I over smudged him. But you know, and then the other one is like, do they say anything? Are they saying anything like with their art? Are they saying anything new that maybe we could grab and add to our team and infuse either like a new perspective or new ideas or a new take on characters? I think those are the two kinds of things that are most likely to, if you can check both of those boxes, you'll be in like, you know, a list of finalists in terms of like, you know, being considered for work at Riot or anywhere, really, I would imagine. All right, guys, we're gonna move on to. I'm gonna drop this opacity. We're gonna start doing a little cleanup. Yo. All right.
Maybe it's a good time to remind our viewers about the contest that is going to happen after the stream. Yeah. So you are also invited to share your versions of this art that you see on the screen right now via Twitter. So while you're sharing your art pieces, don't forget to mention @PlayRuneterra and use hashtag #DrawWithRiot. Winners will get cool in-game prizes, and the first winner gets the chance to meet and make a one-on-one with Chris after the stream. So if you need more information, I think right now there will be some links in the chat that you can click and read the article and have more information.
All right, let's see. Poros have like little dinky little finger claws. All right.
Are you excited to meet these guys online?
Am I? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. I love meeting like players. It's amazing when one of the best things I don't even know if I can describe it, but like when players get a hold of characters that we've worked on and give them like a life of their own, not just like playing them, but when they start showing up in memes and you see people do like cool fan art of it, man. You see fan art and you're like, oh, that dude's better than I am. Wow. It's awesome. It's so awesome. And it's one of the like great joys of being able to work at a place like Riot is just the feeling of I don't know, seeing characters get embraced and turned into their own thing. Like it's kind of freaking magic. So a chance to hang out and like chat with a player, like for sure, let's do it. That sounds awesome. I'm excited. Also, how long do they have to do this? Like I know the details are out there, but they have like a week.
It's a good question. It ends at 1st of June, and let me check the time. It should be 12. I mean, let me check. Yeah, it's the 1st of June. Yeah, it's the 1st of June. That's the short answer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
At the end of the day. I think it was 12. Yeah, it was 12 p.m. BST.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys, honestly, like, you know, I'll tell you, I think I get to. Am I a part of looking at like the finalists and all that stuff? I think I am. I would say like I just want to see you guys' style, man. Like take this character and like that's one of the things that I just love about this kind of stuff and seeing art come in from the community is like I you know, I don't know. I'm just excited to see how people take these things and draw them in different styles, different ways. There might be some stuff I need to fix on this dude. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to look up and potatoes. Sky, I don't know what Sky Merch Z is saying, but yeah, man, freaking potatoes, dude. I love fries. All right. So I actually say too, like one of the little things that I'm doing here is like I'm not drawing in black. And this is just like small stuff that I do, but like when I'm gonna work in color, I try to always kind of like use a little bit of color even when I'm sketching, things like that, just to sort of lead me to the final palette, that kind of thing. Just a little bitty nugget. Yeah, man, where's my center line on this, bro? Yeah, all right. Sorry, yeah. Keep throwing questions at me, guys. I don't mind talking. I'll try to draw and talk a little bit more.
What's your favorite champ in Runeterra Fantasy World? Bonnie4869 asks.
Okay, so we talking like in lore now? Or are we just talking about like League of Legends Runeterra?
It says Runeterra Fantasy World, but it also says favorite champ.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go broad, and I think I'm gonna hold this up for the folks. Wait, no, where is it? Oh. Bard tattoo. Yeah, Bard was the first champ I worked on when I came to League, so he has a special place in my heart. Plus, I'm a huge Ghibli fan. Can't really tell, but I got my Miyazaki T-shirt on for good luck. So probably Bardo. Yeah, But I mean, I love lots of champs, man. The champ that got me into League and got me pointed at League was Jax. I don't know, man. Big purple, multi-eyed, roughneck dude. Like, that's cool.
But do you play Bard?
I have. Yeah. I actually played him quite a bit.
Do you play?
I have played him. Actually, dude, I wasn't bad, man. I'm S tier with him. You know what I mean? Like, I've got some. I got games. I got some games in with him, but I've also and I hope there's some of my buddies that I've played with. I've had some of the most hilarious and awful like game ruining mishaps with him too. And it reminds me of back when I was working on League. We were playing games every day just as a team, and we'd been watching a streamer who would play like a super aggro bard. And I was definitely playing more of your standard, like try to be slippery and helpful bard. And so I decided to after watching 2 streams or something, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this aggro bard thing. I'm gonna invade at 30 seconds in, and I'm gonna go try to get in there and we're gonna take out their bot lane and try to snag, one of the camps and do all this stuff. I died 6 times in the first 2 minutes, man. So, it was game was totally trashed because I just was awful. And it was fun. One of my good friends made a nice poster for me with called Aggro Bardo. It was like a little bard mask with angry eyebrows. It was awesome. I deserve all the scorn for it, but it was fun, man. I mean, I got really messed up.
Well, we are not Dumbledore. There's a Turkish player, maybe the name Dumbledore. He plays so super aggressive bard.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
Dude, I know, man. It's and there's been certain patches where the way that an item works here or there, where he gets a little stronger, at least early game, he's a little stronger, those kinds of things. And it don't matter for me, man. I gotta play hang back and give health buffs and make little tunnels in the wall bard.
So how do you feel about the progress that we have made in 30 minutes?
Pretty good, man. I actually probably got to speed up a little bit. I want to get you guys most of a done thing, but it's actually it's not too bad, I like the pose. He's a little bit. I feel like he's maybe a little bit wonky. But whatever, we're jamming, we're doing this live. So yeah, I mean, I'm liking it. I have some details in here that I like, and I don't love the shape of his little mustache here, but I can fix that in as I'm rendering as well. And yeah, man, we're gonna have the lightning. He's got I'm not gonna give him the full Volibear stuff, the ice that's coming out of his back. That's pretty aggro. So I decided just to give him wild hair that we can make all zappy and electrified later, maybe. But I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Maybe you guys are just speed up, dude. But gonna.
I think people will love your chat, but people will also want to view this as well. So
yeah, sorry if it's not for everybody. Oh no. But we'll get to it. I promise. You guys were gonna see a colorized anger poro. We'll ground plane there. I don't know. What do you guys think, man? Is this guy coming along all right? Does he look like an angry poro? I guess that's the base thing, I'm looking at chat and they're like, no, we don't like it, dude. Start over. Just kidding. All right. Okay. So
yeah, people are happy.
Getting to this stage. Yeah, man, I just want you guys to be entertained and hope I'm also answering some actual decent questions. Or not, the questions are decent. I'm saying giving decent answers. And then here we go. Little bitty inside mouth. All right.
Oh, the teeth made so much difference.
Oh yeah, man, this guy's legit. If you don't know, you gotta avoid this dude. All right, Oliver, if you're out there, I hope you're watching this. Give me the vibes, man. Give me the good vibes. Okay, cool. So this is our little angry poro boy. Let's see, I'm gonna drop out that and see what we have. Sometimes you can kind of learn a little bit about your drawing when you. Yeah. The shoulder starts a little bit higher. Okay, I'm not gonna overwear it. Sorry, not gonna be probably the most perfect poro, but I'm okay-ish with it. All right, so there you go. You guys, does everybody at least agree that it looks like an angry little poro? And I think we can slide on from there. We're gonna do like lots of like zappies. Zabat. Okay, sweet. So at this stage, I'll show you guys. This is something else that I prepped ahead of time. I don't normally prep color palette as much ahead of time. Sometimes, you know, when we're working in lore, like if you are gonna go to a certain region that has a color palette associated with it, like think about Darius. You know, they got that sort of like smoky gunmetal armor, and like the red cloaks and stuff like that. So like Noxus's color palette is sort of in that like, you know, dark metallic colors, also, you know, with the red pop, that kind of thing. So in this case, I sort of like jumped ahead a little bit, and we'll kind of zoom in and just created myself like a little like kind of fur ball, a little poro ball here to give myself an idea as to what colors I was going to use. Volibear and the Freljord and all that stuff, man, they some cold dudes. So a lot of their palette is very cool. So one thing that I like to usually do is start with a kind of a base underlayer that I just scribble in. It's kind of like toning your palette, or toning, sorry, your canvas. And for this case, actually, I'm going to do a little bit of kind of like a muted purple, lavendery color, just to bring a little bit of warmth to the base of him. So then as I work in the cools, he'll have a little bit of that color balance and not be like all cool, you know? And anyway, so, and I like to do, like I was saying, I do rendering and color basically like I was working with pencils, you know? I mean, I just don't, there are so many cool ways to render, by the way, and Photoshop has a lot of them. I don't know that many, so I will just do it this way, and maybe it'll help you guys, because maybe it'll like, maybe some of you guys that definitely love to draw and jam in your sketchbook, but don't like to be, you know, engaged digitally so much because of all the stuff in the interface, like maybe this will help a little bit. Anyway, so I've gone to a slightly bigger brush, and I'm going to start working in, and literally, guys, like I'm just going to color this in like I was sitting at like a restaurant when I'm 7 and I was given something to keep me busy. Get his leg
There's
here.
also another. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do it.
I'm sorry.
No, man. There's
also another question from Mitzael. They ask, tell us your artwork in Legends of Runeterra you are most proud of.
Artwork that I'm most proud of. I don't know, man. Like the Stormclaw dude's pretty cool. You know, like I said, it's always the illustrators that kind of take it and make it its final version. The Neverglade Collector honestly was really fun. Like I really enjoyed concepting that one. But I don't know, man. Like Thorny Toad, I did that guy, and he's just so grumpy, and that's fun. You know, one of my favorite stories is actually from the Snapvine. I was talking to what do you guys know him as, like maybe Riot Umbrage, but Andrew Yip, our one of our like lead, I think he's our lead designer, or I forget what his official title is, but he's like super important. Anyway, but that dude, he was working on designing some set 2 stuff, and he came over and he was like, "Hey man, we need like another unit for Shadow Isles. We need something else to go along with Maokai and these kind of plant pieces that we were working on." And I was like, I don't know, man. Like I had kind of a loose idea of like a plant hydra or something. And like, just like with no approval, like no concept sketch, no process, he was just like, done, love it, we're making it. So I got like pre-approved to just go draw this like thing, which I mean, you know, we have to move fast and make decisions, but that's a pretty fast, like, yeah, we're done here. That's a great idea. Love it. Anyway, so I didn't really answer his question. I think SMV took the Terror of the Tides, that big like monster ghost ship, and really like killed it. I think that illustration, and they added stuff to it, man. They added like the shark jaws and stuff like that. I think like that are all like tied to it, man. They're awesome, and I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess that's one of those like lame-o, like I love them all, man. But I do. They're awesome. It's so fun to see them, to see what like the illustrators come back and turn our little scribbles into. All right, so now I'm going in with a little bit smaller brush again, just to kind of fill in and get a little bit better edge. Again, you guys, like, I actually have a very like pretty simple process, and it's one that I actually was able to kind of develop further on working on Legends of Runeterra, because we have so many concepts to work on that it was like, dude, it was like going to like grad school. You know, it's like you work at a studio, you work with like a bunch of amazing artists, and you're just cranking on character after character after character. And I feel like it really helped me kind of find like a nice color process that works for me. Working on lore, like, or I'm sorry, on LOL, I would work in color and do renders and stuff, but like most of my strength was always, you know, storytelling through characters and the design elements and stuff. Oh, I see it. I'm gonna answer that. I see the Skizix question. I got you. Anyway, so you know, I think like I've like gone to like art school, being on lore. Anyway, okay. So we see big angry purple poro. Yeah, we got that. Is that what's showing up? So this is like my base coat, and what I'm going to do now is start to kind of rough in just where the color is going to change a little bit, and kind of get like a basic map of like what I want the individual local color of things to be. And then to answer your question about Skizix, Skizix actually was my dog's name, my first dog, and he got that name, I think, from an old comic like called Gas Station Alley, like from back in like the 20s or something. Anyway, so I named myself that because like I love that dog, and I don't know, it just was weird. Like nobody's called Skizix, so that's it. Oh, dude, avoid poro would be awesome. Would be awesome. I'm not gonna do it, but it would be awesome. All right, let me see here. Let me see.
Enough work for you today.
Yeah. Maybe if we get Oliver to do it, he'll come draw you guys Void Poro. All right, let's see here. We're gonna flip canvas real quick. Yeah, he's a little bunched up on that side. Okay, we have to work on it. Okay. All right, guys. So now I have my little color notes here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and kind of drop in some basic color. Get something. See, I'm just color picking from the fur ball I already made. Normally, I would sort of like look around for a color. You know, like I might actually go over here in the in my color wheel and base off of like, you know, he's going to have this kind of white feeling fur, but you know, you don't want to make things just straight white. You know, it wouldn't show up on a page. You want to give some pigment to it. Also, like in games, this is one of those like Moby, Frankie kind of things that he taught us. He's, you know, at Riot, an amazing artist. Does lots of like talks. Has been to like anyway, just talks all over the world and stuff. Phenomenal artist, and he was always telling us about like just you never go all the way to white, never go all the way to black. For one thing, in games and like actual on screen, like it flickers and makes kind of a unsatisfying thing happens visually. But also just in art, you know, if you go into to black, it like muddies up your color palette, and white just feels, you know, very blown out. So anyway, and some of the stuff is probably like too art classy, maybe, I don't know, but these are just things that I really do think about as I'm still working, and I'm like, okay, that's too bright, or that's too like stark white. I need to come down. I want this to feel like it's white, but I want it to have some pigment. So I landed on this kind of a muted blue thing. And we going to get in. Let's see if there's any more.
Actually, it's one of the features of this stream is to give more like an art masterclass feel or vibe.
Very cool. Well,
yes. So I'm learning as well with the players. I'm learning a lot of stuff, And there was one question, but I don't want to bother you with a lot of questions because you have to make some progress, and you'll be mad at me if I
No, we're
ask
good.
a lot of.
Hit me. It's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. Like, I'm just now. I'm
There was a
coloring.
question that asked, like, if you ever use Zoom, because you never used Zoom until now. What's the right time to use the Zoom or not?
So you're talking like when you're drawing, like zooming in?
Yeah.
Oh, I use it all the time. Right now, I'm still like in kind of the bigger, like I'm still working on the whole character. As I get into like trying to like render some parts of this, I'll probably zoom in. I'm also trying to be cognizant of how much I'm doing it, because like for you guys, it's like jarring to be like, whoa, he's in, he's out, he's in. So anyway, I'm just kind of like maybe not using it as much, but right now, you know, for this like kind of simple character, I just don't need it yet, but I use it. If you're talking about like when I would use it, I definitely would wait until I had like my bigger shapes and stuff in. Like even if I was working on a more complicated character, maybe with armor and stuff, like I would make sure I had the pose and anatomy and stuff down, and then I would go over top of that and lay in armor and try to figure out like the large, medium, small shapes to the best of my ability, like the actual like armor bits and those kinds of things. And then I would sort of go in and be like, okay, now what motif do I want? You know, like if you had a guy that was like, I don't know, like say he's an armored dude, but you want his armor to be like lion themed or something. I would probably rough in some of those shapes within the armor, but then I would use like a zoom to go in and actually like start to develop those details. And I do lots of like do a layer, draw over it, you know, drop down opacity, draw a detail on top, see if I like that detail before I commit to it like on the same layer. I do a lot more of that kind of stuff when I'm working just by myself. Like I said, I sort of like cheated ahead a little bit and got some stuff done for you guys. So I had an actual, at least a hope of getting this done, you know, before 2 or 3 hours are up. But I would say, yeah, you don't zoom too quick. Work loose. Get your big shapes in. Get your character feeling, you know, attitude wise like you want, and then you can kind of start to go in and zoom in all you want.
Well, let's not forget that we are also going to have a 5-minute break in like 15 or 20 minutes. I will let you know. You know, like, you know, it's very early in the United States, and it's time for get refreshed, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I've had some extra coffee, you guys, to make sure I'm good and awake for you. I mean, I'm always up. I have 2 kids, so like my day starts at like 6:30. But it is still early to invite all you lovely people into my home to talk with. So extra coffee means bathroom breaks.
Again, just as a reminder, this piece is not going to be in the game, but it's rather an art stream inspired by Runeterra universe. So it's important to mention here. And if you want more information about the contest, there's a link in the chat that you can visit and read the details. If you have further questions, we are here for you.
I see somebody hit me up, man, saying, "Hey, take a bigger brush." I'm with you, dude. I'm with you, but like this is my true little style. Like, you're right. It would go faster with a bigger brush, but there's just like my brain just goes to a good place when I'm doing it like this, you know. It's just one of those things where it's like as I've done more and more art pieces, you just find things that, you know, it's not always the most efficient, but it just puts my head like in a place where, you know, I'm learning, like as I'm going through and scribbling all this in, I'm like acquainting myself with all of the little shapes, like of the mustache and just kind of like continuing to think and develop the character as I go. But to that poster's note, you're right. Yeah, that would be smart to go with a bigger brush. I agree. There will be other artists, hopefully, that do these, and they will use nice big brushes and be smart.
So another simple question here. Yeah.
Now he's starting to look like a poro. A little bit. Okay, yeah, sorry, you going to ask a question? Go for it.
Yes, I shared this question. Lizbox asked, sorry for the noob question. That's also my view on my question.
Not at all.
Each of my questions. But we want to learn that. Why have you colored everything in dark if you're going to overpaint it with another color? That might be a standard for art, but like I'm not aware of this one.
So there's a lot of ways to do it. I layer up to I usually start like muted and darker, and I layer to get lighter. It's a way of, first of all, getting like a unified color palette. I find it hard to jump in and know that like the exact hue and value of, you know, the fur on this section or the horn on this part and all that stuff. So this gives me an opportunity to, just like toning your canvas, it gives me a chance to build from a place. So I'm making decisions based off of this kind of like purple lavender color in the backdrop, which will mean that as I develop out from there, or as I like layer on top of that, like, you know, oil painting, you know, you layer up lots of stuff. So it's kind of a similar thing for me where I use it as a way to make sure that at the end, I'm going to have a color palette that feels unified, rather than like jumping into like all the different colors, if that makes sense. It's kind of how my brain works. I know some people do this kind of thing. Some people probably don't. You know, again, I don't know. Yeah, this is just how I found it. And I've also tried a bunch of different techniques that I've learned from some of the, like, again, amazing artists I work with. And this is just part of like finding out how your brain works and what leads you to a solid kind of ending point, you know? Yeah, right. It might be too dark. We might have to mess with this later. But trust me, guys, I will get it there. It'll be light, and it'll have like cool zappy highlights, and it'll look pretty poro-y when I'm done, yo. He's dark because he's terror poro, man. He's moody. He's angry. All right,
and
let's do this.
It's awesome that like even if the smallest details give a lot of like different perspective, and it's like it feels so much powered with small touches.
Yeah. I don't know, thanks. Yeah. We'll get in there. So like this is one of those things too, guys, like in terms of just like the drawing part of it, like adding in like this kind of stuff, like I wanted this guy to be tough and aggressive, so like I wanted to add in extra little puffs of like little sharp shapes around him. Those are little things, right, that as you're drawing a character and you're trying to bring out the personality and the type of character it is, like if you want to be dangerous, you want to use sharper shapes in the silhouette. So those are some of those things that I'm doing too with this guy, is making sure that the way that he reads, like even at a silhouette, you know, level, is like you would see, oh, this guy's an aggressive little dude. Like, especially when you're talking about developing for game stuff, you know, like as a player, you want to be able to grab a character or see a character and know, like, is this thing going to help me? Is it going to hurt me? Do I have to fight it? Like, if I do have to fight it, like, what's it going to do? All those kinds of things and those expectations are stuff that we want to try to build in visually when we're working on a character from the beginning. I think his horns might come down a little lower than I had him originally. I mean, yeah, and then you'll see, you guys, like, again, I have a very, 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 very simplified way of working. So I will actually, before we're done, I will flatten the line on top of the color, and then I will render over all of it, just because that's just how I layer. It's kind of that whole simplicity thing where, like, I just want to keep like complication out of my head while I'm working. And so the quicker I can get, yeah, he's totally a cannibal poro. The quicker I can get to, like, you know, single layers of working and stuff like that. I don't know. It helps me stay organized and keeps my brain from melting. Because it can be really paralyzing to try to want to create an art piece, but spend a lot of time worrying about like the technique of it. I mean, that's why we have to like practice and all that stuff. But I've found that like not every technique works for everybody, and different people get to really awesome results in different ways. So it's funny though, man. You guys are all busting me out on my like All the things that I do that are slow. It's true. Let's see, all right, got to get this guy a little metal action. Let's see, hopefully this guy turns out. Dink. This one's boxier than this one. See, when you scribble quick, got some stuff to solve. I believe those edges in for now. So yeah, hit me up with any more questions, guys. For real, it's not a burden at all to chat with you guys. So I'm gonna drop in some teeth color, and you see here I picked the fur color because it's kind of like a very muted blue. I think I'm gonna like push his teeth a little bit warmer, maybe a little darker, and I want him to have a little bit of pigment. See how that looks. Yeah, there you go. But like, right, like you think of teeth and you're like, oh, teeth are white. A lot of times teeth are unfortunately yellow. But this way it's like I can get that warm kind of like tooth thing going on, but have it differ from the cool fur. And I'll clean all this up, y'all. We'll get there. And then since the little bitty ones are further back in the mouth, we should probably warm them up a touch since they're surrounded by a warmer color.
There's one question asking you. I'm sorry, I always interrupt you.
No, that's good, you guys. Seriously, because like otherwise I'm sitting here listening to myself talk and like I don't. That's not really my jam.
Okay, the question says, do you like Bob Ross? Because Twitch chat loves Bob Ross a lot.
Bob Ross is amazing. I grew up on Bob Ross, man. My dad and I would sit and watch Bob Ross like on a Sunday morning. Like I'm talking like back when it was on like PBS, legit. And like we would watch him, you know, like he'd have a squirrel in his pocket and he'd be painting happy trees and like, you know, oh, this cloud's lonely, let's give it a friend, that kind of stuff.
His storytelling is amazing.
Yeah. Well, so is his afro, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
And now the chat goes with Bob Ross.
Yes. That's where it's at. You guys are absolutely right. Everybody here is correct. So much Bob Ross. Damn. So do poros have bottom lips? Let's see. Let's see if I grabbed it. Not really. At least not these ones. Okay. So maybe he doesn't have so much of a bottom lip. Is that the same color? Psst, that's the same color, man. So again, like this is my cheat for today. Is just to kind of get it's the same color. Okay, screw it. We're gonna do it this. Yeah. Little monster angry poro guy. Can you guys hear my cat? My cat's meowing in the background.
I just heard once.
There you go.
No regular.
My cat's name is Huckleberry, you guys. Sorry if you...
I have two of them.
Yeah, man,
cats are awesome.
Yeah, they're fun. They will come mess up your Google Chats hangout. All right, I think this is a little bit too strong of a red, but we'll come back to it. All right. Okay, so you know, I'm not going to drop in the. Actually, you know what? We'll drop in some shadow shapes before we move on.
While you're shaping the shadows, there's a question. Barbie Comstocks asks, I'm kind of scared to start in this art thing, like scared to fail and my art sucks. Do you have any advice on that struggle?
Oh man, me too, dude. Yeah. Here's the thing about art, man. I think if you love it, like if it is your passion, you know, if it's the thing that you would do, you know, whether somebody's watching or not, you know, if it's the kind of thing where when you're making art, like I actually came back to art. I drew a lot as a kid and then I left it in my 20s. Like I went to college the first time, and got like an English degree and did all kinds of like, you know, not art stuff because I loved it. But I grew up in Ohio and I didn't really have a lot of avenues of like, oh man, you can definitely make art for a living. You know, it's like everybody would be like, yeah, you want to be an artist? Well, that's cool. What are you going to do with it? But I realized after a while, like I even tried like the writing thing for a long time, and I was actually a reporter for a little while. And I liked writing. Okay, it was still somewhat creative, But it was like I would always sit down to write, and it would be the kind of thing where it's like, okay, I would set a timer and I would make myself write for like 2 hours. When I eventually came back to art, it was because like I realized like art's the one thing that when I sat down, it wasn't like I was watching a clock to see like how long I'd done it. It was like I would look up and it would have been like 5 hours, and my mom would be like, "Your dinner's cold. Where are you at?" So like time moved differently. There was nothing else in the world when I was making art. And if that's how you feel about it, like if that's kind of your vibe, you just love it, then like just work at it, man. You know, just keep working at it, and you'll get better. And don't be afraid to share it. And nobody starts off like, a genius. You know what I mean? Like, I think start off like one thing too is like study the art styles that you like and try to emulate those, and like really study them, not just like there's kind of a difference between being like, oh, I love this, like this, I don't know, Pixar film, or I love this video game. You buy the art book and you just sort of like imagine like how cool it is. But like that's enjoying it. But I'm saying study it. Like start looking at like how do they do like their characters as like silhouettes and anatomy, and like what shape language do they actually use, and are they like, do they render things very, very realistically, or are they very stylized? And anyway, study that stuff and then try to emulate that. Try to work on those things, and build a style for yourself. A lot of times people ask too, like, I'm going off on all kinds of stuff, man. A lot of times people ask, they're like, hey, how do you like develop a style? And in all honesty, like a style I think comes from the things that you're stealing from the people that you admire, and you mash them up and it becomes your own. It's not, I mean, I say stealing, but I mean that in a good way. It resonates with you, and when you see it and you're like, wow, like that person, or that style, or that cartoon, or that movie, or what have you, like the way they make characters means something to me. It inspires me. Start working on it, because you won't make it just like they did. There will be elements of you, because those elements will match up with other art that made you feel that way, and then they sort of align with like what your skill level is at that time, and you kind of start to develop a style and let it evolve in those things. And and then the last part is like really truly like be honest with yourself. If you're not at the level that you want to be, like just be humble, be honest about it, and ask for feedback. See if you can get opinions that help you dissect what's working and what's not. And some of that's tricky, because your mom might think everything's amazing, and she's right. You're awesome, love it. But maybe if you find people that you trust that have a bit of an understanding of what you're trying to achieve with your art, you can create a community and get feedback from it, that kind of thing.
You can also ask your dad, like he won't like it.
Yeah.
No, I'm
right.
kidding.
Well, yeah. No, I was thinking that too. I was like, I'm not trying to bust on anybody's mom, man. Hey, moms are great.
Yeah, moms are great. Not a question, but a comment that is very beautiful. I want to share it with you. For the 2 kill says, your tempo is perfect to draw along to.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Oh, that's awesome. I hope to see what you make.
Okay, so we will have a pause in a short time, which is in 1 minute.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do then. We'll call this solid enough that I'm going to merge down these layers. So we're going to take that off.
Yeah, it's a 5 minutes break, so don't go anywhere. And you can, by the way, use that 5 minutes to review the article if you want to draw this beautiful poro today as well. Cool. We are adding a cooldown, and you can also follow that cooldown to know about when we are back.
Okay. All right. So are we good to take a quick break?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Let's go then.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's do a break in
5 minutes.
like 5 minutes. We'll be back. Okay. Sounds good. All right. We'll see everybody in like 5 minutes.
Yes, we are back. We are back, and I want to remind you the contest details. If you are willing to draw, if you are interested in drawing, if you are not but you want to draw, you're also invited to share your versions of this art via Twitter. Please don't forget to mention Play Runeterra and use the hashtag #DrawWithRiot. I said if you're interested because we have the prize, the 5th prize for the funniest work.
Ooh. Yeah. Funniest work sounds cool.
Yeah.
Can the funniest work also win?
Yeah, it wins. It wins the 5th prize. Troll with Riot. I love that. I love that hashtag, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Blackbird. Thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, wait. Is that orange poro? Nah, it's Volibear, but an orange poro would be cool. Let's see here. Okay, sorry guys. So real quick, I've dropped in, or I've merged all my layers, my line art, with that's it. Sorry, I've just dropped my line art back onto my color layer that I was doing underneath it. Again, this is that whole thing of like where I'm just trying to simplify everything as much as possible. And I've created just a new layer on top that you'll see like multiple times through this. I will merge down as I like the results of whatever I'm working on the layer ahead. You know, this is one of those things like this is what digital gives you, so you can kind of mess around with, you know, trying things and seeing what works, and you can easily get rid of it. Which obviously, if you're working in your sketchbook, it's like if it's there, it's there. Okay, so here I've grabbed a little bit darker color. I'm going to kind of like work in some areas of ambient occlusion, which is just where like the shadows are deepest, you know. And I'm going to kind of tool around a little bit here and see which part I want to do next, because this is kind of all just going to be about rendering this guy up to a place where I feel like he's getting finished. So I'm sort of gonna, at this point, like I kind of just cast around and, you know, look for the next thing that I really want to develop all the way up.
Now, this time I have a question for the chat. If you want to name this poro, what would you give?
I think
name this poro, but
oh,
not
okay,
you,
yeah,
not
right.
me.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, man, my bad. You're right. God, uncouth. Need to let these guys name it. Color out that. All right. Let's see. Try to grab his lighter. Do we have names coming in? Angry Poro. Chonks. Chonks is real. Roro. Volioro, Poro Bear.
I like the Volabinho. It sounds like a football player.
Yeah. Yeah. Goal, Volabinho. Yeah, I dig it.
Angry Poro.
He is, man. He hasn't had his...
But I think Chunks is good.
Yeah, man. Chunks is pretty cool. Feels chunky. So this is one of the things too, man. It's like you guys got me rendering up fur, and that always takes a while. I got me rendering up fur. Nobody made me do it. But as you can see, like I'm just trying to establish kind of like an area where the light's hitting a little bit more. Because since a poro is just covered in fur, you know, you got to work to you know what I'm saying? You got to work to give it visual interest. Yeah. But it's going to fall off because he's a roundy guy. He's a round boy. So as we go down the body, the light's gonna hit, more on top, but like a ball, it's gonna fall off as we go down, and then under here is gonna be dark. So gotta hit his brows. We might have to like angry up these brows, man. I don't know if these are intense enough. As you can see, this is the kid with coloring book.
I also like the Thoro.
Thoro, that's cool.
That's cool.
Thoro is cool. I don't know, man. Chonk has a ring to it, Maybe we could add like Chonka Bear or something. I don't know. Don't worry though. We're gonna add lightning later, you guys. It's gonna be rad. My Oliver, one of the concept artists that is the sort of the father of the poro. He was in fact watching, and he has given me his blessing on our boy Chonks here.
Oh.
So we're in good territory. So as you can see too, I'm starting to kind of render over top of yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, the other concept artists are chiming in. And Oliver heard my name drop of him. Chonks it is. They called him Chonks. So I think Chonks is sticking. It's already becoming a thing. Yes, I am on Instagram. I think, do we have that stuff out? I saw somebody. I try to post like lore art and stuff when I can, just other drawings. It's also just Skizix though, if it's anywhere around here.
I think it's also worth to mention that, like, if you're planning to enter this contest, we expect people to create your version. We want to see your version of this art. Like,
yeah,
I think, can you comment on this one? Like, what are the tips for the people who are watching that you can give that they can take their own version of this art piece?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I was kind of trying to mention a little bit. I love seeing what the style that different people work in. So I think it's just kind of like, take the details or whatever of this little guy, but let's I want to see different people's like, you don't have to draw it just like me. Draw this character, but draw it like you would draw it. That's kind of what I think I'm most interested in, is to see what people can do with it and to see how like their personality comes out. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but
yeah,
that's kind of how I think about it. Is like I want to see what people like do with it, how it feels. Happy little trees, man. Happy little trees, you guys. Draw your own happy trees. Oh snap! So this is one of those areas too where I gotta be careful, because sometimes like you start to get a little bit like antsy, and you want to like go in and put like the cool like zap of lightning in early or something. But we'll do it soon. But you always got to kind of follow the process. But I think I can answer questions while I'm scribbling. So, see more Bob Ross. That's what's up. I don't know, man. Is everybody excited about Volibear? I think he looks cool.
You know what I would like? I would love you streaming a lot more, and I think an emoji, a Twitch emoji, with your headphones and headgear would be awesome. Yeah,
I'm down. I'm down.
yeah, you're working, and like, it's so cool to watch someone draw and make progress live. Like for me, it's relaxing. I don't know, Chad. What do you think?
Make a Baron ARAM. Volley doesn't feel strong enough in game, huh? Saw somebody say he doesn't. Feels kind of weak. I know, man. Volley's supposed to be tough.
Yeah, everyone is loving the stream, and it's chill for everyone.
Cool. That's awesome. Just Netflix and chill.
Well,
Stream and chill.
yeah.
Actually, that's what's up. Hey, people toss in, and I don't know if we can collect this, but I love getting like music, like music recommendations for like just stuff to zone out to and work. So if people can toss in, like, what do you guys listen to, man? Like, I want to know what's up. Because normally, like right now, I'm not listening to music, so I can kind of be thinking and chatting with you guys. But normally, I would be like way deep on some tunes.
I can start with mine. I'm always into metal music, so
Yeah,
true metalhead here.
you got some going right now.
No, I'm listening to you.
You multi-sourcing or which is multitasking, man. Getting your jam on?
Nah.
Yeah, like I listen to
a lot of different genres actually, like classical music, lo-fi hip hop. Yeah, I see lo-fi hip hop a lot while people create music. Yeah.
Taylor Swift, right? Nobody wants to admit it, but everybody listens to her.
Well, he wrote in caps, or she, I don't know, but he wrote in caps, so he wants people to know.
I guess I should say that as a 38-year-old dude, you're like, nah, man. I don't know about Taylor Swift. But then, like when when it comes on the radio, you're like, I know this song. I'm gonna jam to it. She's good, man. She knows how to write a catchy tune.
I don't know. I'm also dealing with music, and I always find catchy things get my focus off. Do you feel that way?
Sure. Yeah, sometimes depends on what I'm doing. Drawing's not so bad, but if I have to be typing something, or I can't like write or construct thoughts and also listen to music that has words that I know and stuff like that.
By the way, people are asking if they can watch this as VOD as well. Yes, they will be a VOD of this stream.
Cool.
And Alice Hellis asks, what was the most complicated art you did for Riot Games?
Most complicated, huh?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, is it a champion or? I mean, Ornn was Ivern was pretty complicated. I worked on Ivern, and he had a lot of complicated stuff. Ornn, I worked on Ornn, and we made his ult. That was pretty complicated. Yeah, I don't know. I probably one of those two things, I guess. I don't know if I'm answering like really what they're asking, but I mean, I've had some champions that have been really like hard to kind of get figured out and get like all the final touches put together and stuff like that. In terms of like, just from idea to out the door. But yeah, I mean, I think probably in terms of just sheer complication, probably like Ornn with his ult, maybe. I mean, the stuff for Legends of Runeterra isn't as bad because we get to like make a character and then we make an illustration for them. It's very different when you're working on a champion and that character has to like run around and have abilities and you know, move and cast spells and I don't know, all that stuff, man. Gets kind of more complicated. Right, I think I want to like change the shape of this a little bit. This perspective is bugging me. Maybe, is that right? I don't know, man. I think we've got this is gonna be jank. I don't know. I just think it's gonna gonna trouble us for a while. The perspective on it. And again, you guys, like in terms of like overall values, I'm trying to kind of just build like a nice rounded sense. So, you know, it's like just lighter up here, getting like, you know, core shadow dark right there, but also just kind of like general, or I guess ambient occlusion, I should say, here, and then just sort of darker core shadow here. Try to make him just feel ball-like, and then as we just go, it just becomes one of those things of like, and even when I'm working like for a character in lore, it's just how much time you have, you know, and you can kind of render until you run out of time, basically, to try to make it look as good as possible and read as well as possible. See, that's too dark. That's too dark. All right. Anyway.
We have another question for you, Chris. Jane, she asked, how do you come up with different ideas for a concept instead of repeating the same idea over and over again?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like that's always a danger, you know. Even if you're like used to concepting a lot of different stuff, like we always have our kind of our things that we return to, like our tropes and our archetypes that we kind of go back to. So like you do have to sort of watch yourself in terms of like the types of stuff you know, if you always like to draw like monsters or whatever. But in all honesty, like the main thing is to stay interested in the world around you and in the other IPs, and you know, just always be looking at like, you know, different archetypes and different takes on like character types, and just sort of like try to ingest as much inspiration as possible. And it's not meant to like one-to-one steal it from other IPs by any means. Like that's actually the opposite of what you want to do. But you can learn things about like the decisions that people made when they tried to solve certain design issues that can inspire, you know, a new take from yourself. So I think it's just truly it's like just stay interested, you know, always be like checking out what else is going on, and try to always be looking to see what clever ways have crept up to solve design issues. I hope that gave a decent answer. Oop, is my iPad not showing up, you guys?
Yeah, I was checking on that one.
Oh no, what's going on? Let me see, you guys. I might have to.
Yeah, I can take this time to ask you one question if you can, or I can remind the chat about the details of the contest.
Real quick, is it back now, you guys? Do you see me making a mark?
Yep.
Okay.
No questions, no info. Back to streaming.
All right, works now. Cool. All right, guys. Yes, just bear with me if we have any hiccups.
Actually, you know what? There's one question that is really related to the previous one, actually, from my take. How come some of champion artwork in Legends of Runeterra seems to look different in a lot of ways compared to champion art in LoL, League of Legends? Yeah,
well, you know, Legends of Runeterra is a slightly like we are developing. It's like that canon universe, you know. But when you make a character for League of Legends, there's certain constraints in terms of like how detailed you can get. These guys are small, you know, they're the size of a quarter or whatever on your screen. So they design them differently. They design them with an eye toward like bigger details, bigger silhouette shapes, and even from like this, you know, our game is top down, so they design for all that. So when we get a chance to take a champion and pull them into lore, we will sometimes kind of re-explore them and try to keep all the same tenets of what they are and not change them in any major way. But like to go in and try to add like maybe an extra level of detail, to do some stuff and give them some visual texture and some visual depth that, because of League's constraints, like they didn't get a chance to do. So if I hope that answers your question, but that's actually what happens, and we'll talk about that kind of stuff sometimes as we're working on a champ or whatever. It's just like, you know, if it's an older champ or just if it's a champ that doesn't have like a lot of detail to them or something, like maybe there's some stuff we can do to make them feel a little bit more a part of the world. Like an example might be like Quinn. You know, we kind of try to make her feel a little bit more like a ranger. You know, a little bit more like with the like leathers and things like textures and stuff that felt a little bit more organic for somebody that was out like in the forests and of Demacia. So that's really what we're trying to do, honestly. It's to maintain like the spirit of the champ by all means, but see if we can't flesh them out a touch more when we can. I hope that gives you.
Yeah, thank you. There's also a question from Necrit. What comes first, lore-wise, an artist idea or a writer idea? Which is a beautiful question.
Actually, so there's different. I think the best way to explain it is there's different parts of an idea.
Can you give an example for us?
Yeah. Let me. I'll. Funny you should ask. Yes, so let's take it from like kind of the beginning of an idea, right? Is I talked about the beginning where design. We're gonna flatten this, you guys, so I can kind of start doing some stuff. Design will come up with their needs, right? Like, okay, we want to go to this champion or to this region, and we're gonna do a certain champion, and we want it to feel aggressive. You know, like I brought up Demacia, right? Like with Garen. Like he's a valiant knight kind of archetype, meaning like that type of character that you would recognize as like, oh yeah, this guy's probably a good guy. He's a knight. He fights. He's probably like melee. He's got a big sword. And they might be like, okay, well, we want this group that goes along with him. We want them to also feel like fighters. You know, we want them to feel maybe not necessarily like the tankiest or whatever, but we want them to feel armored like he is and all that. So design will come up with a number of like gameplay constraints that are like, this is how this thing has to come across to be successful, and so then they'll give those kinds of things to the writers and to the concept artists and the writers, and once we take that, then we start to brainstorm based off of our like kind of visual experience and stuff. Like, okay, well, how can we execute on characters that have the right design element feel to them, but are interesting, maybe aren't too cookie cutter, or maybe you're something that like would feel right for the world of Runeterra, but like maybe we haven't seen like 100% the same thing before or whatever. So we kind of like and a lot of this ends up being, you know, the concept artist will take it and we'll develop mood boards about like what the character, like the subgroup could be. And we'll work with the writers, and the writers will kind of like, they'll pitch in ideas and stuff, but they'll also kind of be there to help us like edit and kind of condense our ideas down, because, you know, it's like concept artists, a room full of concept artists, it's just like popcorn, like ideas are like, oh, it could be this, could be that, could be this. So then we'll go through that process and kind of share it around, share it with each other, share like what ideas we have, take them back to design and kind of get their 2 cents on it. And in the end, then we'll get to a point where we have basically like an agreed upon, like, okay, this subgroup, it would make sense to explore, like bring it up Gangplank again, like the Jagged Hooks, his crew. I think they pulled that from his lore, Lore. But they were like, this would be a great crew, like of these like really rough, aggressive pirates that could go along with Gangplank, you know? So once you've sort of agreed upon, like, that's what this group is going to be, or what we think this group is going to be, then that's where, as concept artists, you go in and you start sketching, you start making lineups. You know, you make guys of different shapes and sizes and feels, and what kind of weapons would these guys have, and, you know, if they're from Bilgewater, they're not going to have like Demacian swords and armor. You know, like what kind of, they're going to be like piratey, I suppose. But if they're going to be piratey, how can we make them like a little more fantasy and not like straight up pirate stuff? So you know, you start looking into like, you know, scale armor and types of weapons and cool tattoos that could be, you know, uniquely from Bilgewater, that kind of thing. So anyway, does that make sense? You know, and then basically from there, when we start sharing them, we get to a point where design comes back and they start to have like finished ideas as to what like characters they need. Like if we need 5 or 6 characters for a subgroup, eventually they come back and they're like, okay, cool, we need a guy who's this size, meaning like, you know, this much power, this many hit points. So he's this size, so he's got to look big, or she's got to look big. They do this thing, or they have this buff, like this buff for their, like, you know, fellow subgroup members, etc. And you compute that in with the things that you've been sketching, and you try to see where they match and what tweaks need to be made. Like maybe if they like heal their buddies, it's like some sort of crazy, like pirate ship medic or something that would have like, you know, weird elixirs and stuff all over them to help heal their fellow Jagged Hoax members, stuff like that. So anyway, like that's pretty much kind of the gist of how it goes down. Anyway, I hope that answers the question.
Yep, that does. And we have TB Skyan asking, when composing card art, what's the process of figuring out a composition that works both on the full card art, and the tiny little window the card will put out to it? Tricky question.
Yeah, no, man, it's a good question, dude. That's a very savvy question. I think actually my my art director, at least he was watching the stream earlier. This is his world, man. This is his bane. Not his bane, but it's like the constant challenge. It's actually not his bane at all. It's straight. We actually really enjoy when we see an illustration come in and we're like, oh, that's going to be a really awesome crop, we call it. So yeah, it is a thing, and it's a part of all of our conversations as we're like reviewing illustrations as they come in, and it needs to be something that's accounted for. There are a lot of ways to solve for it, though, and sometimes you get cool like kind of ideas where, you know, the composition is really different, and you're like, oh, I don't know how that's going to work. It's not like a classic thing we would come up with for a card crop, but then you like figure out something really interesting and get like a unique card crop out of it. So there are a lot of ways to solve it, but yeah, man, that is a real question. That's a smart question. It's a very video game developer savvy question. All right, this guy's a little chunky right now. I'm gonna have to work to unify this boy, but we'll get him there. All right. How's everybody doing? Is anybody else drawing their dude right now?
Yeah, it would be nice to know if you're drawing Chong.
Yeah. Chonks ahoy. Not in love with this little horn yet. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna kind of give myself a little visual candy, and we're gonna go in and do a new layer and maybe drop a little glow on this homeboy. He's not ready yet.
What's our percentage-wise progress?
Percentage here?
Yeah.
It just depends on render-wise. Like, I could probably like finish out the details and be done, like, you know, in another, I don't know, you could call it like 75%, but depending on how far you want to push it, you could also call it like 60% or so.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of. See, sometimes though you'll make a big leap forward. It's all these little hair bits, man. And this is kind of just like part of my world is rendering out, taking care of the small shapes, rendering out these little nicks and stuff. And like I've said to you, there's a lot of ways to make characters and make art, and there's a lot of smarter ways to go about doing these things. But this is just kind of my zone. You know, it's like tending a little visual garden. You just bounce around and like clip a weed here. Find a new little growth or something over there. God, growth's probably not a great word, but yeah. He's coming along. He's coming along. We're gonna have to unify some of this. But what do we have? We have another hour and 20 minutes if we need it.
Well, we have time. We have time.
If everybody's
everyone is happy, so
stop it. There we go. All right, let's see here.
I have another question for you. AC Base asks, what are some examples of how you interpret game mechanics into design elements?
Ooh, yeah.
I love the questions, by the way.
Yeah,
there are really tons of good questions.
Okay, let me think. I'm trying to think of a card, maybe from this set. Well, like Thorny Toad was one. That guy had a little kind of. Gosh, do you guys remember what's when he dies?
Yeah, he tosses cards and heals your Nexus.
That's right. And and he's just really annoying to deal with because of his like his 4 hit points. You know, like
yeah.
So anyway, he was just a card that they were like, this guy's going to be kind of annoying. He's going to have like a like he when you see him, like it's going to be annoying to have to deal with. Actually, though, I feel like a lot of people figured out how to get around him. Like they just don't interact with him because he's only 1 damage, and so he'll just sit on your board for like 4 rounds. But the intent being that he would be this like kind of cantankerous thing, like you wouldn't want to deal with him. So so that's an example though where the feel of this is going to be annoying. So when the designers saw this like grouchy, like tree root toad thing that just looked annoying and angry, they were like, yes, that's the feel. That's what we want. So that's kind of an example of like where it was a conversation around like the feel of it. But you can also have stuff where like Ember, I think it's Ember Maiden. You know, she has every round start, you know, she does 1 damage to everything. So that's kind of an example where having her be like on fire or having her have like fire stick and she's burned this village down behind her that she's walking out of or whatever. Like that was one of those things that came together because like, you know, Winter's Claw, they're sort of pillaging and terrorizing, you know, villages to a certain degree, or at least, you know, surviving by fighting and taking down other villages, things like that. So having her be this character that carried this fire thing and seemed like kind of like just punky, like didn't care, burning it down, whatever. That was a good example of like how we visually went about making a character that felt right for the gameplay. That she was gonna put burn damage on everything, you know.
I was going to ask about the hairstyle, by the way. Why is she punk, or such a cool hairstyle? What it has to do with the design? But you just explained it. It's so beautiful that even the hairstyles have like characteristics in the card game mechanics and design itself.
Yeah, and that was actually that was in a concept originally done by SMV, which is like sometimes they did a lot of work actually for like set 1. They also do illustrations, and that was one of those interesting cases where she just had a great attitude. She was a really cool character, and when design came to us and was like, we need somebody that's going to do the things that she's going to do, and like fire and stuff came up, we just sort of tweaked her a little bit, and like I think she might have always had a pretty cool punk haircut because she just had a cool vibe. But anyway,
yeah. I love that.
Yeah, man. She's a cool character.
She's also a good card. Like, it proves its worth. Another question is like, how many times in average you changing concept of a character during development? An example of characters has been working on.
Yeah, I mean, well, they change over time. Like, you know, so in our process, we kind of talk to design and try to get a nice idea, enough of an idea of what a group of characters is going to do to start making like a lineup, like basically start sketching and developing some characters that will go together and that will match like kind of the theme and the vibe of the champion they're attached to and those kinds of things. So from that point, like they can change a lot, but you know, we try to kind of land in a general safe zone where like the characters we're making are like, if they're supposed to be aggressive, they feel aggressive. If they're supposed to be like really like heavy magic users and stuff, they feel like heavy magic users. So then like as we go, we're making less and less adjustments based off of like the design needs, because you know we've been sort of talking with design and keeping their developing kind of desires for the gameplay side like in mind as we go. Sometimes you have to come up with something totally new. Like design will come in and we'll be like kind of getting things put together and getting close to kind of the end of a process for the set, and design will be like, all right, so you know through testing we realized we needed like, you know, a character that can do XYZ thing. And they might come back and then we're like, okay, wow, we don't actually have that. So let's take the rules that we've built kind of visually for the rest of that that subgroup and let's make something new. But a lot of times we stay pretty close. You know, it's part of the process to kind of keep checked in and make sure we're not off designing stuff that like visually designing stuff that's not going to work very well. So sometimes a lot, sometimes not.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, that's it.
When you pause, I'm just like, is he thinking or is he like? I can see. I'm sorry. No. Well, I'm going to repeat myself a lot. I know if you're watching this from the start, I apologize for that. But it's nice to remember that this unit is not going to go in the game. It's for the purpose of this art stream, and it's inspired by Legends of Runeterra universe. So, yeah, I think it's important to give this information as well.
All right, guys. So here's what I'm gonna do. So I've started this is the glow layer, the fancy glow layer, and I went and I just grabbed this like this light brush. This is my little cheat, my little glow cheat. So you give him a little glowy eyes. Nyet. Now he's magic. That's how you do magic, everybody. You just make their eyes glow straight up. Boom. Now you're like, oh wow, that guy's super magical. How do you do that? We'll get back to that. We're gonna add some more. But I wanted to give him some pop. Oh, I need to get some magic. Man, there's so much more I would do. I hope we don't run out of time to do some cool stuff. Oh, still got my light brush on. Oops. Nobody caught me on that. Nobody stopped me. Thanks, guys. All right.
There is a really beautiful question from Prism Lux. Have you ever created a character or setting that you liked so much that you or your coworkers wanted to go deeper into their lore and story? Please say yes.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
most definitely.
We want to hear this story.
Well, there's lots of them. I mean, I tell you what, like I love, and this is why it's fun kind of working on this guy. I love the Ursine, the group that sort of are that hasn't been explored deeply. There's the story that we did that I don't actually I can't remember.
Silence of the Damned?
Yeah, I don't know if that's officially canon anymore, but I know that the Ursines still are a thing for sure. Anyway, I love it. Like I just love that. Like these sort of really like maybe like scary, you know, bear shaman gods of the Freljord. Like that's rad. I don't know. I could. My thing is like you give me like Viking shaman stuff, and I'm all over it. I'm in it. Let's go play. Like, so that's one. But like a lot of champs, there's little elements of them that would have been really, really, really fun to maybe try to bring out more. But it's just, especially on champ team, you have to sort of like leave stuff on the cutting room floor, because there's only so much space in terms of getting things across. You know, like a champion has to be about the gameplay and as much lore as we can get. But So anyway, yeah, I mean, the Earth sign is definitely one. But it's cool, you know. You guys like, that's what's rad about working on lore. I literally used to work on Champ Team, and so I come over to this team with all of these. If I weren't streaming, how long would it take me to draw chunks? We're almost 2 hours in. I could probably be where I'm at now in like an hour and maybe about half hour less, something like that. Hey, if I get chunks done while I'm talking in 3 hours, I'm impressed. That's just me. You know, I'm excited.
Do you have formalized color palettes for each region? Like, is there an official like Noxus red, for example, or a Freljord blue, or a magic blue that like you use?
Yeah, we actually like. I don't know. We might have canonized some of that somewhere. We definitely like. There's a definite, at the very least, informal knowledge of like, you know, that blue green Shadow Isles magic is something that like, you know, when you see it, you know it. And then we talk about that, like, you know, even when we're doing, you know, reviewing illustrations and looking at characters and even working on characters ourselves, we're like, you know, the words have been said many, many times over that Shadow Isles like green has slipped into like Zon green, and we need to like go back and cool it down. So there actually might be some documentation that like has like solidified a official Noxian red. But like it's like we know to use it, you know. It's definitely something we need to, that we're aware of, and that I don't know. There's probably a document somewhere. And again, like right now, my art director is like, he was happy earlier, and now he's sad because he's like, no, we totally have that.
So what kind of brushes do you use during this kind of process? Crease art.
So I only use 2 or 3. Sometimes, depending on it, like what I'm doing, I will branch out and I'll use some of the like more painterly brushes for certain effects. But I literally, like, for the most part right now, I'm using technical pen. It's you know, it's got some pressure sensitivity, and it lets me render, you know, in a way that's it's intensive. Like maybe it's labor intensive, but it also, like, I speed it up because I'm not having to think about it, you know. Like I can create and finish characters like pretty quickly, like a fairly complex character in maybe like a couple days. So like this is my main one, but you know, I use that like I think it's Gasicki ink or Gasinski ink. I use this one a lot when I'm like just kind of dropping in a little you know, that like backdrop or whatever that I was talking about, like what's the word? Anyway, when I was dropping in my like baseline color. So I use that one for that. Actually, I'll use gouache a lot to kind of blend. Like if I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to make some like bigger things happen. Like I might take a little like gouache action, not get it too big because it's like pretty, like I can kind of get some areas to merge together a little bit, group values, those kinds of things like this. Like maybe I was doing it to demonstrate. Maybe I'm gonna keep it. Maybe. Yes, I'm gonna keep it. So you guys see like that kind of thing. I can even, you know, maybe go in on top here, and it just lets me kind of like group the values a little bit more. I think maybe Homeboy's brow needs a little more dark in there. Yeah, see? Bam! Look at that. Thanks, guys. All right, let's see. So that's, you can see kind of like just like that, right? So that just grouped a bunch of values. I had all these like little fur shapes, and they kind of were pretty busy. So that's a way to kind of knock down the busyness. Get a little gradient. We're gonna add that, everybody. We're gonna keep that. That's a keeper. Oh, I did it again. Back to technical pen. Anyway, I'm a simple dude, man. I gotta. You give me a couple tools that like work, and I'm pretty happy. Let's put a little glint on this. Let's go up. Yeah, warm that up.
There's an interesting question from Wanda-kun. Wanda-kun asks, do you guys design the tattoos, like Braum or Wally, based on something? Like, do they have meanings?
Oh yeah, well, actually, like we'd have to ask. I think Justin Alberts was the concept artist. He's an awesome dude, great concept artist on Volibear. Sometimes, I mean, we always try to base it off of a shape language. Like the Freljord actually has kind of a developed shape language. It's sort of Celtic, not Norse-ish, but then it's a little more jagged, a little chunkier. So like in that sense, like we definitely base them off of things that we've developed over time from that region. And I'm looking at like Volibear's little like runes right now, and I wouldn't be shocked if Albers sat down and didn't at least come up with a story behind the runes he used. That's kind of what I try to do, but then sometimes you want to make something that's aesthetically pleasing, and then you go to your writer and you're like, these runes are dope, I'm gonna put them on there, like maybe you can figure out what they are. So it happens both ways though. Sometimes it's part of a story, and other times it comes from a design choice that needs to feel organic to a region, and then you solve it later.
Do you also draw on paper? And if yes,
oh yeah,
what's your art supplies for that? Manga paper, mechanical pencil, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I draw a lot, and I actually use Moleskine notebooks. Like that's kind of my thing. I got a bunch of those. I just like I like the tooth of the paper. It's got some weight to it, but it's not too heavy. It's not too chunky and not too light. And then I actually do a lot of pencil rendering, and I use like Blackwing Palomino, or is it Palomino Blackwing? Yeah. Anyway, pencils you can look up. If you type up Blackwing Palomino pencils, they're nice. That's smooth. They smooth, man. I use those two things like for the most part, and I've used mechanical pencils. Sometimes I just sharpen, like a regular kind of drawing pencil, to do like actual like little line art bits and stuff. But that's kind of the primary things. I love working in pencil. There's times when I could probably like just work in pencil all the time and be happy. But then I see all this dope digital color art, and I'm like, I want to do that too.
Naruteska asks, do you find it easier to figure out values with grayscale, or would you rather working directly with color? Do you think there are specific situations to use each?
Grayscale for show is much easier. Color there's a lot of decisions to make with color, like about the temperature of the color, and just I don't know, man, all kinds of stuff that goes into deciding on the right color. So I definitely prefer to figure out, like if grayscale, or if the values is like especially like a major part of like a moody piece or something, it's like nice to get that done in grayscale. But I've actually found, and this is one thing that has helped me, is like that's part of the exercise of toning like my sort of canvas, so to speak, and the character is like I've gotten rid of a lot of decision making by saying I'm building off of this like kind of muted purple lavender color. So it kind of lets me do a little bit of a like grayscale thought process, because I've basically made my sort of little mini world like a cool purple color, and I'm trying to build values kind of off of that, if that makes sense. So anyway, it's like if I go into like a full color range, that's hard, man. So I don't know. Yeah, I've learned a lot about how to do it in color, but it definitely is like it's an added element that can be tricksy. I hope you guys are still enjoying, not too bored. This dude rendering feet.
Not me, actually. It's so chilling. Maybe it's because of the time in Istanbul. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry,
It's
man.
so
You gotta spend
relaxing.
your Friday night with.
Sorry?
Yeah.
This is the best Friday night for a time like this. Like, how did coronavirus affect your work and your daily
Yeah.
routines?
Well, I mean, I actually I live kind of far from the campus, like the Riot Games campus. So
Mhm.
I'd always worked a couple days a week from home, and I'm pretty fortunate because as concept art, like we have meetings and stuff that we need to jump into and be a part of, but um, a lot of my work is done like what I'm doing right now, and just being in my head and being at the page and solving stuff. So I've been really fortunate personally about being able to kind of jump into a work from home full time kind of situation, and being able to kind of like maintain, a level of productivity. I mean, with kids being around and stuff, you don't get quite as much done, but it's been okay. I count myself very fortunate.
Well, I have to ask if you need any more breaks as well while we're going forward.
No, my iPad might ask for a break here in a minute, and if it does, I'll let you guys know. But I will probably just keep jamming for as long as I can, because now I really want to try to get this as much done as possible.
Okay.
I've left behind all pretense of like bathroom breaks and stuff, my man. I'm trying to get it done.
If you had the possibility to live in one of the Runeterra regions, which one would it be and why? And also, which type of character do you think? Which type of character you think you would be like to be? You would like to.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, can I ask this for the chat at first?
Yeah.
What's what's the region that you want to live, chat? Then we can answer.
All right. So there's a couple answers to that. If I were like legit, like seriously, guys, seriously, if I'm gonna go live anywhere, like Piltover Zon is probably where you want to go, because like they've got the closest thing to like modern amenities. Like, let's be real. But if I were gonna go to like where my fantasy heart is, oh, it'd be the Freljord, man. I wouldn't want to live there though. That'd be so cold. But if you could go up to the Freljord and talk about what kind of character you could be, if you could go up to the Freljord and be some sort of like crazy, awesome, like giant, shamanistic badass, like, yeah, I mean, let's do, like, that sounds awesome. Like that's my like ideal, like what I would want to go do. But like that would be hard, you guys. Like, that's the Freljord's cold. They probably don't have enough food. So anyway, so that's a couple answers. Like, I've seen Ionia pop up. I'm with you, actually. Ionia would be really cool too. Like, I mean, I bet like, drinking some Ionia alcoholic beverage out on one of those like beautifully designed porches, looking out in a magical forest, and like, just hanging, man. Like, I could do that. I could do that for sure. I like their attitude. I like Ionia's attitude. Like, they got, for the most part, they're like into mysticism and nature and stuff. So every time you ask me a question, I've got 8 answers for it. Just,
It's beautiful. Actually, I love listening to you, and I think people prefer you talking rather than me. So, Desire the Name. Can you suggest any good book for materials rendering?
Good book for materials rendering. Wow. I don't know, man. I'm not the best one to ask for that. Like, I think, what I would probably say is like, I think Alex Flores has an art station. Go find that dude's art station and look at how he does like metals and stuff. It's so juicy and amazing. But in all honesty, I guarantee there are some really dope references and places to go. But my conversations with our splash artists are like coming, bubbling up in my brain, and it's like, the best thing is probably to go get like real reference where you can find it, and then try your best to recreate that. And then once you like have done that a bunch, then you can start to make like stylized choices with your renders. That's probably what those dudes would tell you, dudes and dudettes. Sorry, I don't have a really like awesome.
I think you will have a really awesome answer for the next question, because it's my favorite one. The Andy Bosho asks, why don't any of the Freljord characters wear shirts?
Right? Yeah, it's cold, man. Yeah, I don't know, you guys. Like, I mean, okay, so we talk about this kind of stuff too. So in part, it is, you know, probably because they're so terribly badass that they don't even need them in that cold environment. But also it's like, you know, I think it's kind of the catch of when you're designing stuff for games and movies and stuff, like in all times, it's like you're always looking for ways to make characters unique. And if you cover everybody in like layers and layers of fur, they don't look like anything. They just look like fur. So I think it comes kind of from a desire to find something like aspirational and unique, but yeah, it's tough because these guys actually would be in a cold environment. So then we end up kind of having to also come up with like cool reasons, like why, you know, like Ash has she's got the thing where she can, like, you know, hold true ice, and so she's kind of magically a part of the Freljord. Because I mean, you know, like that girl is not dressed enough for being out in that cold, but because like of her magical elements and her magical kind of ties, I suppose she can get away with it. You know, and in some cases too, it's like you imagine if somebody was fighting, like maybe they would strip off those layers of furs and get hyped up. Like, I mean, there is historical, you know, like the way that, you know, a lot of Europeans back like thousands of years ago, like European tribes and stuff, even though it was cold, like they would strip down and paint themselves and go to war, you know, to show how intensely tough they are and to intimidate their opponent, stuff like that. So, I mean, some of it comes from that too, where it's like we kind of borrow from those kinds of things. But like, I see you though on that question, for sure.
Yeah, Hunogetsu has an answer to that. Like they are Nordic. They have 20% cold resistance. You know.
That's right. That's right.
Correct. Sempi Turtle 17 asks, where can we find your portfolio?
If you guys, I think like, if you guys want to see a bunch of my stuff like in one place, like I do have an art station. And I think it's just my name, Chris Campbell, and I think somewhere on the page it says Skizix, and you'll recognize like there's some lore stuff and all that. But I do like add, I think it's _Skizix. I post stuff to like Instagram and Twitter. I don't get to do as much personal work just because, like, you know, we're doing a lot of stuff here for lore, but you know, I do try to post like, you know, like lore stuff and in the past league stuff when I had it, and then I do kind of throw out personal drawings and stuff too.
Mudkeeper. That's a beautiful nickname. What is the inspiration behind the concept of Noxus clothing and aesthetics wise? Like
Noxus
Piltover Zone is based on steampunk, Freljord is based on Nordic, and so on.
Yeah, I think so. That gets in actually, like that's before my time, you know. In terms of when the Katarinas and Darius and Draven and those guys kind of came together, and I think like, so I don't have the actual answer. Like it's a little bit of like precedes me. If I would have to guess, it was, you know, we had Demacia with their sort of shining armor knight, and they were blue and cool steel and gold, and so I'm sure Noxus felt like a good foil. You know, it was with the dark like gunmetal gray and the red, and I would imagine it just visually probably worked, but you know, I do know that like these days, you know, we're not trying to make any one region like one note, and we don't want Noxus to just be like the bad guys. Like they have a society, they have things that they are that they want to do like from a societal level and take care of their you know, I don't know, families and all that stuff. So yeah, like they're people, right? They're freaking people. So so I think it came from just the visual need, but like there's a lot of stuff too. Like you guys, like League came out a long time ago, and when it first came out, we were cranking out characters, and it was a super fun game. That it was like really interesting, like how do all these characters fit together? And now, like we actually have what what I think is a really fun task, which is where we're trying to infuse these regions and these characters with like enough depth that they become interesting beyond just the games that they exist in, and it's awesome because I think players love them and want that, and they ask for that. And anyway, so I just think like it's kind of an interesting thing, you know. Like we care very deeply about making sure that our world is like we've accounted for the decisions we've made in the past from a design and visual standpoint. We care very deeply not to just leave something hanging and act like, you know, oh well, it's fine, we're just going to change it if you want to change it. Like we put in a lot of thought, you know. There's a lot of like meetings and sketches and, hey, this could mean that and this could mean that, even though like we made that decision say in like 2014, but it's kind of awesome because like what if it's this, and like, oh, and then like you'll get like the jagged hooks, you know, like this group of really interesting unique characters will be developed out of a line of text from a story, you know. And it's a really fun task, actually. It can be tricky because there's a lot of sort of balls in the air and teams that, you know, you don't want to mess anything up for like, you know, another team or whatever, but it's really pretty fun, you guys. We want it all to kind of like somehow come around and make good sense, and it's led us to a world that actually is like, I don't know, man. I don't know what all is going to happen in Runeterra before it's all said and done, and how different like factions and characters might someday meet and all that stuff. Like it's super cool to watch happen and kind of fantasize about. And on lore, I get to kind of make some of that stuff happen. Like me and my team do. We're like, hey, like, you know, you guys mentioned jagged hooks in this story. We think we can make a group out of this. Like, and everybody's like, dope, do it.
Lorfi asks, do you have an easy time rotating 3D shapes in your head, or visualizing stuff before you draw it? Do you do any visualization exercises? I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce it.
I'm sorry, what was that, Batu? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I got you.
Sure.
No, some stuff is easier than others. It is just experience. Like I've hit my head against a lot of shapes a lot of times, and so I've figured out little ways that when I start to work, like how to bring those out. And even then, I've just also like, you know, there's little tricks to like fix it later, you know, kind of stuff, which you want to try to get like really good at the core like sort of tenets of drawing and all that. But you know, like everybody's got things that kind of trip them up, you know, and some shapes are like, oh yeah, I get how to draw that, and other ones I'm like, oh okay, I got to draw this like thing, and it's going to take me some time to get it right, or I might even have to ask one of the other guys to like help me like solve how this works in space or whatever. So it's like it's a good question. I think the answer is always, for that kind of stuff, like just experience, you know, just practicing. And the more you draw, the better you'll get, because you'll just have seen it before. You'll have hit your head against it, you know. Oh no, Marshall's crack says I'm boring. Is this boring?
I don't think so. Not everyone can enjoy it, but
it's okay. No, I'm not trying to bust it out.
Like,
you know, it's all right.
Like when I read the chat, everyone is having fun. Everyone has questions. Which one of them is? John Singer asks, is the most of the concept team drawing everything, or do you guys also use 3D?
We draw for the most part. Yeah, we draw for the most part. Like now, again, like my team focuses on characters. So, you know, if you were going to do more environment stuff, you might get a lot more into like 3D, like doing some 3D stuff to kind of like get your perspective down and to understand your shapes in space and those kinds of things more. But for the most part, like we just draw. We just chilling and drawing, man.
Pixelated Fairs asks, are you self-taught or did you go to art school? And you said that you studied English, right?
So I did go to art school. I went to Rego school and got a degree in English in my early 20s. And then I actually, and like I'm not, you know, this is one of those stories that always ends up coming out, but my father passed away in my late 20s, and it sent me into a like I started seeking like happiness, man. I don't know, just like what could I do? I was trying to be a writer, and it was one of those things where, like I said, it was always like kind of a grind to do, but it was creative, so I liked it. And I think I left art a little bit because I just never had anybody there that was like encouraging me, even though I loved to do it as a kid. So I think it was kind of one of those things where, like, I remember having a conversation with my wife like about a year after my dad died, and I was like, you know what would make me happy, like today, like right now, not like some future point where you imagine yourself to be a famous writer or something like that, or like, you've got it made, and maybe I don't know, whatever it is, whatever makes you happy or your fantasy is. But I was just like, I could draw. Like, if I could just draw for a living, and I didn't know I was going to be able to get to like a Riot type place, I was like, I think like that's, again, like I was saying before, that's the one time when like time passed differently. I lost myself in it, and I want to get that back. I think that's how I could be happy, whatever the results are, if I'm just doing it. And like that decided it, and we actually had a pretty decent art school in where I grew up, called in Columbus, Ohio, called CCAD. And my wife and I were in the car driving back from like a friend's house, and we were talking about it, and I was just like, can I go to art school? And like, we talked to it. She was basically like, yeah, babe, let's try, and then all kinds of like craziness happens, and you end up working at Riot Games, dude.
That's where you follow your passion. I think passion takes over decisions. Passion takes over, I think, the time that time flies when you're doing something with your passion.
That's right. Yeah, totally, man. So, man, I don't even remember the question, because that's my long answer.
But thank you for the nice speech. Like, I got inspired. I don't know you guys, chat, but I got inspired.
See, now you guys are falling for it. Now you guys all got to go do your passion. Sorry. Go be happy, guys. Go be happy.
Well, I'm lucky that my passion is talking to you right now. So
I feel bad for you.
Well, why not? Like,
your passion's talking to me. It's
talking to any player. Like, I love talking to players.
I got you.
Okay, so let's jump to the next question. As Ployd asks, how are the other artists on your team being able to work with your personal strengths and weaknesses as an artist? Is it better to be specialized in a field, asset, character, environment, etc., or be more universal in your skill set? That's a beautiful question.
Yeah, and the answer to that is again, like, there's multiple facets to it. Some of it depends on like, what do you want to do? Like, if you are really good at a lot of stuff, then you could probably be very useful, maybe at like a smaller studio, where you can come in and you can really help them, achieve a lot of different things. Like, you can help them, first of all, let me say, it's always, if you're good at multiple things, it's always good. It's never a bad thing. But if you want to, like, say, come to Riot and work on characters, like, your focus is probably going to need to be far and ahead, like characters. But yeah, Ohio represent. I see you. Where we chickpeas and rice. I got you, man. Or lady. Excellent human being. But yeah. So I think, like, it truly does depend. Because there is also that whole thing, right, of like, if you're jack of all trades, like, the like master of none kind of thing. Like, it doesn't, if you're really, really, really good at characters or at environments, like, that's awesome, and you can probably get a job, especially at like a larger studio that's going to want you to come in and focus on that area for a team. But if you're like very, very good at like a number of things, and you want to go somewhere where you can really like bring a lot of like impact to projects very heavily, you can maybe do that at a smaller studio, or maybe in like research and development or something at a bigger studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, I don't know. And your question about like dealing with strengths and weaknesses, I think that's awesome. Because every team is made up of, you know, just different individuals that have things they bring to the table. And I love my team. I love them. Like, everybody roots for each other, and you know, like we call each other's like awesome moments out, and like sell it, like, you know, love it when we see like, so, you know, like when we see a design from one of the other guys, you know, and like, oh, that's dope, I see what you did, man, you know, like we'll call it out and like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sort of enjoy it, you know, and truly and like meaningfully enjoy it, I think. And we help each other, you know, and if one of us is like, I'm not sure how to solve this, like there's no, like nobody like turns a nose up at being like, yeah, all right, let me see, like we'll think about trying this or think about trying that, you know. So I don't know, I find it to be very it's a really healthy, really good team with a bunch of really good people on it. I know that sounds kind of like stock answer, but like I mean it. They're awesome.
Well, diversity in skill set is awesome, I think.
Yeah. I might
Like,
have to.
like when you're building a party in an like RPG game, you don't want all mages, you don't want all
Right,
warriors.
right,
You
right,
mix
right,
the
right,
skills,
right.
right?
Right, absolutely.
That goes when you build teams, when you're building a company as well. That's what my opinion.
Yeah, man. No, I think that's true. And I don't know. Do you guys have any like? I don't want to skip over any like art questions. As you guys can see, I'm kind of like I bounce around and render different areas and kind of try to just like bring the piece kind of up along on different sort of axes as I go. But I don't know. He's turned out all right. You know, not too bad. Not too bad. It's like a little angry poro guy.
Looks awesome,
Like
dude.
You
Looks
mad,
great.
Like, you mad, man? Why is he so mad? Nah, he's angry because he's cool like that.
Okay, I have a question for chat as well. If this is a card, and what's the keyword that it has to have?
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Make them work.
Meanwhile, I have another question for you. Chickpeas and rice. I think you. Well, I'm not reading it. I fell for it. It was a compliment. Okay. Thank you. Ardilom. Maybe you can add some saliva there to show that he is thirsty to eat you.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do, guys. Yeah, we're not done. We're not done here. It's a good idea. All right. Yet. See, he's getting zappy. Told you guys we'd make him zappy.
Okay, I think it's also good to remind about the contest. Maybe we have new people in here. So after this art stream, you're also invited to share your versions of this beautiful. I can't say beautiful anymore. It's like
they're beautiful.
Yeah, like fearful or beautiful. I don't know, cute. This poro, your version goes on Twitter at player. Don't forget to mention Play Runeterra and use hashtag #DrawWithRiot. And please make sure to check the link and check the rule sets as well, because I think it's also important and it's also valuable to explore the rules. The first place will also get the unique opportunity to speak with Chris one-on-one.
Yeah, sorry guys.
No, not sorry. Well, they will have the chance to meet you online and ask a bunch of questions much better than I do.
No, you're doing great. Don't down yourself, man. You're awesome.
Terror poro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind. Like,
Sure.
before joining Riot or before joining the Legends of Runeterra team, were you playing card games, or do you think is it important for a designer to play card games in order to design cards?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I played a lot of Hearthstone before I joined Lore. And yeah, it definitely helps. It's always good to understand, how things are going to behave and interact in the environment that you're trying to create. I don't know. It does a number of things. Like, for one thing, it makes you, it gives you ideas, because you're like, oh, I've played games and I know like what this moment feels like, and I've always thought like it would be cool to do, something else. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I wish I could create this kind of thing for players or what have you. And I don't know. It puts you on the same footing. You gotta have an idea as to like what would be fun to do and fun to experience in the game. And if you don't play a game, I think it's hard to kind of have that empathy. It doesn't mean you can't by any means, but it gives you a leg up, and you can try to create from a place of understanding like what would be cool to have happen.
So we are going till the end of the stream. We have 30 more minutes if you want to have those 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Do you
man.
think we can finish that?
Yeah. I mean, we could call this dude done when we hit 30 minutes.
That's nice.
That's all right. I'm trying to add in little touches that dude's probably.
I remember myself watching Bob Ross at a time. I was like, okay, this is a wonderful piece. I bet he's finished. And then it's much like you. I said this like in the 30 minutes timeline. I was like, oh, he finished. And you keep adding stuff that makes this piece much more beautiful with every touch, just like Bob Ross did.
Oh, thanks, man. Bob Ross is the man. He's on another level.
True. Okay, guys, do you have any questions? Because we are going to end in 30 minutes, but still we have space for your questions. When creating a character, how do you determine if you have put enough details into it?
Yeah, I mean, that's always one of those things that is a constant kind of back and forth. Some of it is just kind of understanding, like, we have a certain level of detail that we kind of work in on lore. And if, you guys remember earlier, I was talking about like League of Legends, there's a different level of detail, because of the size of the character and the readability needs and the top-down view and all that stuff. So when it comes to like stuff for the game, it's a lot of it is about knowing that, like, you've kind of hit a safe zone or a place in the design where you where it feels like a part of the world, where it feels like it reaches the same detail level as like the other stuff in the world. And then personally, it's just kind of like, it's always tricky. You just go until you feel like you've said what you want to say, and you put enough details in it to like be visually interesting and fun for yourself. And part of it is kind of that, like, just what are you experimenting with? What are you trying to do with it? So there's not like a real like set answer. I think it has to do kind of with like, what are the parameters you're like working in? What are the results of this need to be? He's good.
I asked about your favorite character, but you already answered that. And maybe it's time, or it's also time for you to, for me to remind that it will be a VOD. Guys, don't worry. If you missed the start of the stream, or if you can watch from now on, you will have the chance to view it offline. Can you talk about your Pike with Dreads concept? I didn't see it yet.
Oh, Pike. Yeah, we worked on like Pike did have some different haircuts. At one point, he had longer hair. And I think that the reasoning behind getting rid of it was, again, like one of those readability elements for in game, for League. He has that like shark, or that what is it, like, is it bonefish or jawfish or whatever, the jaw around his neck. And when you're designing for something like League, you have to kind of decide on the amount of details you're going to put in an area, and the long hair just added too much like visual noise to an area that we already had a lot of focus on, and especially like once you get down to the size that you see things in League of Legends. So I think it just got cut ultimately by the needs of the game, not so much a choice outside of that, like not like a lore choice or anything like that, or a thematic choice. Just one of those things. I feel like I'm getting to the end of the big like test, and you're like, okay, I gotta add this like sentence here, and it's like, okay, I gotta add a little bit of there. Like in high school, you had a big test, and you like pencils down in 10 minutes. I think I got enough in there.
Oh, for the contest, we have a question. We should draw a poro or any LOL themed art. If it's for the contest, you should draw this poro, but with your own version. Not a different poro. This chunk.
Yeah.
Chunk. I'm sorry, chunk.
No,
you need to customize chunk with your view.
Yeah. Custom chunk.
Do you have any tips for new starters or new starting, or thinking about people thinking or skilled about design, starting new?
Yeah, I mean, again, like one of the main things is just draw. Like if you want to design and do characters, like just draw people, draw characters, I know, like I think there's a lot of value in it, and you need to study like the way people work and anatomy and posing and all that stuff. Like you have to do that. But I also I love it when I see people's like their own personal characters and stuff like that. I think as long as you are paying attention to the kind of the fundamentals that you're ultimately going to need, because you're not always going to get to draw the like fun little character you want to draw. Some, you have to be able to interpret other people's ideas and other, design needs and stuff like that. So anyway, I guess I'm trying to say is like, study your fundamentals. That's probably like the main thing you need to do to begin with. But really, like, I love always kind of like just looking at things that you love and looking at designs that you love and working on like drawing characters that you just naturally like drawing. Like don't lose sight of that. Pay attention to that when that happens, and because that's kind of like your voice developing. I'll make sure.
Renairo asks, are you satisfied with your journey as an artist? What would you have done differently knowing what you do now?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. I came back to art at a time when I was really ready to like appreciate just the act of making it. So there's something about like, just kind of like the peace of mind, I guess, or whatever, that I had when I was like, yeah, I just want to be doing art, and like knowing that. And that was very different when I was like drawing in high school. And actually when I was drawing like as a kid, you would draw like a dragon, and it was just dope. It was like, yeah, I love it. It's my dragon. But then, you get older and you go through like I don't know what we call high school, but you know, whatever kind of like secondary level school or whatever, and everything's about like, you know, grades and competition and stuff. And I don't think that, I don't know that I had the right sight on like what I would do with my art and what it meant to have my art. Just like for me, once I was like leaving high school, I don't know, maybe I would have. But anyway, so I miss that I've there's so much time that I could have spent making art and learning and being creative visually that I sort of have not gotten. And at times I definitely feel like I'm always playing catch up to that. There's so many talented people that I work with, and it can be very inspiring and awesome, and it can also be intimidating at times. But at the same time, like I don't know, I now when I make art, I bring like the time I spent studying like English. I read like tons and tons of books. My late teens and early 20s, I was just like devouring books and stories and breaking down characters and how they work and how does stories work and things like that. And I find that super, super valuable in the way that I develop characters today and how I think about characters and think about like how they could fit into a world. And it's I find it super useful when I'm chatting with you know, with other disciplines, you know, like chatting with design or narrative or whatever, and talking about like my vision for a character and trying to sell them on an idea maybe that's a little weird or something. So there's trade-offs. I don't know. It has its ups and downs, you know, but I don't know. I know that I came back to it this time around feeling like, I don't know, like I have more to say, and I spent time away kind of studying other ways to say things, and I think it bleeds into my art in a way that is beneficial.
Pompa de Pon asks, can you ever be too late to enter the industry? I'm 28 and still studying.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. It's all about like that it comes down to a couple things. Like one is like can you make art that, you know, a studio can use, and then, you know, are you good to work with? You know, like you say you're 28. Yeah, you may not be like fresh out of art school, 20 years old. You may have less time to sort of just devour art, depending on like what you're like. You know, I have kids. Like I don't know if you have kids or whatever the case may be. But you've also done more things in life because you're older, and you can bring those experiences to bear when you're working. You know, like those things come out. You probably have just a wider ranging like kind of empathy for different types of characters, just because, you know, you're older. You've seen a few more things. And that's like not a hard and fast rule or anything, but it's not. You don't need to give up, man. There's strengths and weaknesses to everything. And I don't think that there's like a hard and fast rule. Like Riot's filled with people that it was a second career. You know, it was something like, you know, they found their way to Riot and making games. You know, as something where they like me, they were like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. You know, and so yeah, dude, I don't think it's too late, man. I think, you know, you might have to work differently and be more efficient in the way you learn and stuff if you want to do it sooner. But
I always find early ages to be advantages, but I think starting something late, any skill late has a plus, because you already have experience in some things, and you can use those experiences as you used your literature or book reading skills in your career as well. So I think it's never late. It's just you have to spend your time differently if you start late.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely
it
has its different challenges. Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, if you are older, like, I mean, I think it's amazing, like the guys that just grind out artwork all day, every day, but they were smart, man. They went to art school, and they were very, you know, there's a lot of very talented young artists that we work with, and I see how much art they produce. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I wish I had time to do that. But, you know, I love my family, love my kids and my wife and stuff, and I need to spend time with them. So I rely on, in some cases, just some different, I don't know, skills or what have you. Anyway, all right, this dude's getting pretty close.
There's one question about the contest that I have to give more info. Can it be volley poro? Asked Alice Rovi. But in the way we see it, or it should be exactly like the one Chris is drawing. No, exactly what you mentioned. Like, you should use Chris's poro as a main reference, but you can play with details and styles to create your own version. Are there permanent art jobs at Riot, or they're only contracts?
Oh no, yeah, there's a lot of I don't know if anything's permanent, man. Like, nothing's permanent. Yeah, no. There's yeah, for sure. There's full time. Like, I've been a full time artist at Riot for 7 years. So yeah, no, there totally is. Lots of them, actually. Yeah, I don't know if I like this as much.
Do you ever feel the need to control yourself so that you avoid getting carried away with rendering? Naruteska.
Sure. Yeah. I don't consider myself to be good enough at rendering to where I've like gotten carried way too far yet. But yeah. There are times when you can kind of be like, all right, maybe I've done too much. But why are we there, guys? Is it over? All right, so I've condensed this down. I was thinking about trying to throw some extra little zappies on there. Let's try that. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have like 20 minutes.
Yeah, all right. I'll take a couple minutes before we call it.
Okay, you can end early if you want to.
Oh, that's cool.
But the chat won't.
Yeah. Okay, not too many though. Not too many, guys. Get too crazy. Maybe do one little one over here. Okay, now this arm needs one. I think. I don't know. Maybe down here. All right. Oh, I wanted to add like a little rune in here, you guys. Dang. So I am not going to put a lot of thought into this rune. Sorry, everybody.
Actually, there are many like carrier focused questions. You can visit carrier.riotgames.com, I believe, or you can Google carriers and Riot Games and work with us. There's a page called Work with Us. You can, I think, view if you are not interested in art but other jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think we post art stuff too when we have them. So yeah, I mean,
Chris, can you please explain these cubes on the mustache?
They're just like metal cubes.
Yeah, like Nordic
caps
stuff, right?
Yeah, because it's like it's kind of just a little dinky version. I don't know that I love it, but a little dinky version of this. Let's grab that. Oops. Of like these things, even though I think these are like ice, but it's something meant to like just kind of mirror, just a quick little thing to mirror that. Anyway, they probably need some more love, you guys, but I don't know that I'll have time to. Dang it. All right. Yeah, and like it should be, I don't know, might be one of those little add-ons. it's a bit much, but now you guys got to solve them.
Will this art piece be posted on social media? Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Chunk is getting the final form.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, these probably don't have enough cool glow to them, but
There are tons of like beautiful comments and like appreciation sentences that I don't read, but like I want to
Thanks,
let you know that like we have amazing support from the chat. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's awesome.
And I just want to give a context that like we are right now just like we are creating this show with four countries. Like I think.
Awesome.
I'm from Turkey, you're from State, and Olya is from England, and Edgar is from Spain.
That's awesome, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
These mustaches are too strong and can handle these cubes easily.
Yeah. I'm with
Exactly. Oh, that's an answer to the question. These cubes confuse me too. They should be heavy and drop the mustaches down. And the answer is
you're
like,
right.
Yeah,
you're right. You guys are right. That's it, man. That's concept, guys. It takes iteration to get it right. Well, if you guys should, by all means, man, solve them bad boys. I, however, am going to play with lightning bolts. Because I don't have much time. That kind of thing does happen a lot, you guys. Honestly, we talked about Pike's hair, and it's that kind of thing too, where you try a thing and maybe it doesn't quite work out the way that you were hoping, or like it's a cool detail, but it's actually kind of hard to make it like work at the end. So that stuff does happen a lot, and I think in this case, it's like his little mustache caps like might not be the most awesome thing, but I mean they cool, but they could probably be developed further.
Campbell asked, I want to improve at digital art, but I have always find myself stuck in improving in stuff like proportions and angles. And wanted to ask if you have any suggestions on how to fix that.
I mean, probably a part of that is like, if you find yourself continuing to go back to solving some of those fundamental things, like, you probably just have more stuff there that you're kind of continuing to work on. You can always just be playing around, and trying digital techniques out and all that stuff, and maybe combining exercises as much as possible. Like if you're going to work on anatomy or shapes or something, like maybe just try to do it digitally. But maybe not use it to try not to like cheat. Like I was saying, you can kind of flip the canvas and figure stuff out. But so, I mean, yeah, it's like the fundamentals, like those skills are no matter what, dude, they're a part of it. And if you have them, it makes digital work for you rather than you like just kind of being tied to whatever digital tricks you might learn. So it's just kind of important to keep slugging, man. Like you'll get there. Or man, or lady. I didn't mean general man. I don't know. But yeah, like whoever it is, like you'll it won't last forever if you keep working and keep getting your traditional skills up. Like they'll keep getting better, and then you'll find yourself worrying less about them, and you'll be able to get in there and kind of do some more of the playing in digital that you really want to do. But like I said, in the meantime, just find time to break out some time to do some digital stuff. We're just playing around. Don't be too precious. Just see what happens when you try different layers and brushes and techniques and stuff. So.
And Chris, we have only 9 minutes remaining.
All
What's
right.
our progress? 99.
Oh, like this guy could be done. Like, I mean, honestly, we could give him over to you guys on the stream who want to take a crack at him whenever. So I'm just kind of going until the pencil gets taken from me, so to speak. At this point. That's my cat.
Well, this is the first of Draw Right. Actually, it's a first for us as well. Thank you for sharing this opportunity to share this beautiful art stream with us from people all around the world.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. It's awesome.
And the best thing is, before we're finished, I'll give more details about the contest, but this time differently. This time I'll just explain differently, let's say. Will there be more art streams? Yeah, like, this is a hard question because we want to, but we can't promise you because of the technical difficulties we are experiencing due to these times. But my job is to spread the word as much as possible that you love the stream a lot and you want the second version of Draw with Riot. And I think we can, Chris.
Yeah, man. I think, there's a lot of, it's a lot of fun. Like I've enjoyed it. It's been really cool, like getting to draw and talk to you guys. And there's a lot of like really amazing artists at Riot that I think would be really cool to get onto a stream like this and hear them talk about like their journey and their experience and see their techniques, man. Like I'd love it. I'd watch,
I also saw a lot of programming and video editing comments that they want to know more about those crafts as well. And please, I want to make sure that, I'll be spreading the word.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of elements that go into like making up games. A lot of things that could probably be really fun to like listen to how they're done. Woo, it's late for you guys. All right. We're getting there, everybody. I think I am just playing until I am told I have to stop.
Okay, people ping me. 2 minutes remaining.
All right.
It has passed really fast, I know.
All right. Well, I guess that's him then. That's our boy. You guys down? There. All right, chonk.
There we have it.
Yeah, there you go, everybody. There's Chunk, our beautiful boy. Yeah, man.
Looks awesome.
Cool. Yeah, all right. Well, definitely we'll I don't know. I'll talk to those that know and figure out where this is going to be posted and stuff. I'm sure you guys will have that organized. But yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you guys so much, all you guys, for joining and checking this out, man. This has been a lot of fun, and it's always super, super fun to get out with the community and get a chance to share some stuff with you guys and hopefully be entertaining.
Okay, thanks for joining us today, both Chris and the viewers. And please don't forget to read the rules before applying if you are willing to apply to the contest. And yes, if you are inspired, if you want to draw your version of this poro, don't hesitate. Please make sure that you share on Instagram using the mention Play Runeterra and hashtag #DrawWithRiot. And actually, it's time for closing. I'm super happy that it went so well, and I'm sad that we are leaving, but see you next time. And don't forget to go into the website like this and check the news section and the article for the details of the contest. Till next time, see ya.
See you guys.